What is going on, people? We are back for another episode of the All About Counter-Strike podcast, and it doesn't matter where we are in the world, what's going on, what time it is, what setup conditions I might have, we still get the job done. I'll tell you this now. Shout out the Crowne Plaza in Copenhagen. Anyone who's done a BLAST event or anyone who's been a fan and gone to the Royal Arena, you probably stayed in this hotel. And the manager, I came to him and I was like, you know what? I can't really justify renting a whole conference space just to do the podcast, right? That would be kind of crazy because that's a whole conference space. It's very expensive on these big units. I was like, do you have somewhere quiet I can film the podcast? Because obviously my baby and my wife need to sleep in the hotel. Guess what? I'm in the breakfast area. I'm literally in the whole breakfast area, taken for me to sit here and do an episode of the podcast to make sure we can get the job done. But he was very kind to give me this space because obviously no one should really be here at this point. It should be getting set up. I've seen the staff. They've already set things up for tomorrow. So I just got to clean my space afterwards and we're all good to go. But I do like the fact that I can find the most janky places to get the job done. And this setup still works. This setup still cruise on forward so we can do an episode. And Devilwalk, guess what? It's the 24th of October. It is Ukraine Independence Day. And it is also the 30th birthday for Valve. So two great things to celebrate in here because Ukraine's independence is massively important, especially to me as someone who lives there and my family. But then Valve was great, and without Valve, we might never have seen Counter-Strike get to the heights it has been. Now, it is 10:23. I can't read. 10:23. Yes. By the way, it's really like my laptop is down here, the camera is here, the microphone's here. I'm looking at the numbers at the bottom. Should have just looked at my watch. That would have been smarter. Anyway,
so we're gonna you're not going to be looking through too much stats as we.
No, bro, I'm going to. That's all on you right now. I'm just going to bring up a page, go on to the next one. Bring up a page, go on to the next one. So, yeah, it's 10:23 for me and you. Me in Copenhagen, Denmark. You over there in Sweden. I can just wave to you. You're in that direction somewhere. Yeah, you're there. I'm waving up. You're waving down. We're so close to each other. Still so far. Actually, I can probably drive to you pretty quick, right? How far is it, Umea to Copenhagen?
You crazy?
I don't know. I just assume these, you both have little countries with small amount of people.
Copenhagen to Umeå, kilometer distance.
Population of...
It's 1,287 kilometers.
How many hours does that take me?
13 hours and 56 minutes.
Okay, it's a bit longer than I thought. It's because you're in the far north, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll just say this, right? Sweden's total population is 10.6 million. Denmark's total population is 6 million. So you're winning on population, but both your countries are really small because there's like 13 million people just in London, not even the UK.
True, and we have like...
Numbers, stats.
We have a crazy amount of land in Sweden.
Beautiful place. Same as here in Denmark. Theirs is a bit more flat. A lot more wind. You got some nice like hills and mooses and green areas.
This is a hills and mooses.
And Jean Trappic. Yeah, you got mooses, right?
Yeah, we got moose, yeah.
There you go. Why did that make you laugh?
I just thought it was funny because you're like, I don't know.
I think of Sweden and giant mooses.
Like gonna chat up some landmarks, like, you know, and it's like, yeah, you got mooses.
Okay. Landmarks, Jean Trappic, DreamHack. There you go.
We got
Does DreamHack winter and summer still go on or not?
No, it's actually the same people who made DreamHack have started a new one.
Like Raycon
called Glitched. And they do a LAN event in Elmia, summer and winter, I think.
Brilliant. By the way, I finished my slush. This was supposed to last me the whole episode. Didn't happen. I'm having a slushy as well because it's still summer here in Denmark. Time. Yeah, just to set that was the setup time. The slushy has gone. But what have you been up to, my friend? Because I haven't really got much to report on other than what I'm going to report on in this episode because I just did EWC the whole time in Paris. So that's all I have for you. I didn't do anything else.
I think the last time we spoke, I was playing Deadlock. I'm still currently playing Deadlock. But I've ranked up now. To
you said around... currently, not like at this moment while you're doing the episode, correct?
Yeah, just in vicinity of time. But
yeah.
I've ranked. I think I said something. I was like top 8,000 Europe last time.
Yeah.
I am top 3,000 Europe now.
Okay.
Ranked up quite a bit. I had a terrible day today, but that's I will regain those points as we go. But I'm really, really close to where I kind of want to be, which is obviously playing with some of the top players, hopefully.
Yeah.
And and they'll say I'm shit and stuff like that and rage at me, but I'll still be there. I still would have played.
You earned your place. You will enjoy that moment, and you will take it on the chin.
And other
Are
than that,
Deadlock people more toxic than CS people?
Depends. It depends. I think, to some degree, there's a lot more arguments because it's not as well developed what is right and wrong in every single portion of the map.
Of course.
And you can do multiple things right. In Deadlock, it's a lot more, it's much more vague, I guess, to a certain degree. What's right and wrong in certain areas. So a lot more arguments, a lot more swear words in those arguments. So longer arguments than just saying your shit.
Okay, so there's a lot of discussion going on in it.
Yeah.
Oh, it seems like your grind is going well, even if you had a huge loss streak today. So to let everyone know what we're talking about on today's episode, we're going to cover the EWC playoffs, because we obviously did the groups and stuff in it, some of the recent news that's been going on, and then BLAST Open Porto, which starts over here in Denmark, where I am right now. We're going into media day and rehearsals tomorrow, so a lot to cover, a lot to go through. You said you pretty much watched all of the EWC playoffs. Obviously, I saw majority of it, except B stream, obviously a little bit less because I was on the A stream for it all. There were 16 teams in playoffs, which we both agreed was quite good. I spoke to some players while I was there and coaches about the fact that it was like the random seeding, and obviously everyone agrees that as a player and a team that is not ideal situation, right? But we still had some banger games. I still think this playoff bracket on both sides delivered. I know we spoke so much about the lower part of the bracket being like the bracket of death, but I mean, even the top bracket ended up delivering in just some of the exciting games, the moments we had in there. You know what I'll start with first, though, before we get into the teams? I'll start with the crowd. So it was in it was in the EWC arena halls, but not like one massive arena. So a core arena was where we went for the Paris major, right? 2023. Yeah. Huge arena, obviously like what you would normally expect from playoffs. But for EWC, they only had it there for Sunday. So that was just the final day that it was there. The rest of the time was in the hall. But even in the hall, bro, there were 7,000 seats. And on the Vitality games, the Falcons games, and even the last day, it was packed like all the way back. So they did a fantastic job of getting these tickets and stuff sold out there. Obviously, there's tickets for the super fans for certain teams, but that doesn't take up if I remember correctly, there was like 2 or 3 rows of seats closest to the players at the front that were for the super fans of the organizations, right? That's the program that EWC runs. But then the rest of the fans are like paying to have their seat there, right? And be there.
Okay.
And what is so cool about this, I was so worried when Vitality got eliminated. I was like, this is going to be terrible now. Like I thought we were just going to be in for a snore fest and it's not going to be exciting. And like, by the way, because my role was not stage host, right? Because they, like, again, so many people were saying to me, why are you not on the stage? Why? Because EWC for all 8 weeks, they had Ian do the stage for all 8 different kind of games. So like, they don't change, right? Even if it is like, I'm the CS guy, they didn't change it for it. So I was doing a lot of fan content, right? In the arena. And I'm thinking, Vitality's eliminated. I'm going to go in the next day and I'm going to have like hardly any work to do. You know, there's going to be just a few fans to go around and that's it. France still showed up, man. And I met people from Turkey, from Belgium, Netherlands, UK, Sweden. Obviously, some Danish guys came out. They were in the Astralis jerseys. Obviously, Astralis didn't make it very far. But then still, all the people that were Vitality fans and bought Vitality tickets, they still turned up as well. So I don't know, maybe I don't know the pricing or the logistics of it. Maybe France is an expensive country to run an event. It is definitely expensive hotels because it's a popular city. And food prices are generally quite expensive. Like some of the things I was buying just for like takeaway, I was like, oh, this is not ideal. Which could obviously put maybe some people running an event off there. But one thing for sure is that French fans are coming for Counter-Strike no matter who was playing. And that was a massive win. Like that is, for me, as like someone in the industry, someone who's a stage host majority of the time, the crowd I love is the crowd that is there for every kill, every moment. And We even had some, like, you know, the boos for certain teams. They were booing MOUZ, they were booing Spirit, right? But still, if Spirit or MOUZ won at the end, they will cheer them. You know, they will give them some love at the end of it.
I thought it was like from a viewing experience. Definitely could hear the crowd. It was drums, it was, you know, horns, it was everything, you know. It felt like a really, really, I don't know, high intensity crowd area. Like you could really hear the chants and people. The vibe of everything was definitely showing off from the stream. So I was pleasantly surprised. It was a really good vibe. It almost felt like, I wouldn't say a major, but it definitely had a little bit of bigger importance feel to it compared to some other events.
Dude, 100%.
So, yeah, it was definitely a good I mean, event overall, but the crowd does a lot for it.
But I'll also say this, right? Even if we take the crowd away, even if it stayed in Saudi Arabia, where obviously there is less crowd, right? I feel like EWC now, no matter what people think, whatever the politics are, whatever you want to say about it, EWC, because of the format, the amount of teams, and the way it is running now from that LCQ into the groups, into the main event, it's in a position where it can be up there with your Krakow's, Cologne's, your World Finals, right? It can be one of these events what I'll put on the same as like a Cluj-Napoca or an Astana, you know, where we can see it rise up as a potential one for the very elite teams. Like if it stays consistently for a long time.
Like it's definitely going. I mean, if you compare it to even like last year, I feel like there was a little bit more prestige in winning this one comparably. So it's definitely on the up and up. I wouldn't be surprised to see it, as you mentioned, like as kind of like a, you know, a big event, a Cologne, whatever, eventually. But they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, but it's good that we can see that it's building up into that, right? For as long as it's going to stay, as long as they want to keep building it into that. What I think is the only thing that should change is that keep the 16 teams in playoffs, but do away with that random seeding. I know they want to do something different, but if it didn't have the random seeding, that puts it in like the top class instantly in like great format. Yeah,
I mean, we were lucky this tournament. It turned out really, really good anyways, but...
Yeah,
and
100%.
Perhaps wouldn't have seen like a FUT in a final if that was the case. They had a little bit of a rougher bracket, but it's a maybe.
Yeah. So we already kind of covered a lot of these teams anyway, right? And their run they had.
Yes.
So we're going to start with Astralis, who went out to G2 in the end.
Yep.
I still think Astralis here, even if they got battered in the way they did on the two maps they lost, I still have seen more positive signs again for Astralis. They're not going to be happy with this. They've still got some of the problems, right? But I think overall for this event, when you're matching up against a G2 in the first round of the playoffs, this is acceptable for where they're at, considering they're trying to grind their way back up. This isn't the same Astralis I was holding to the same standards at the beginning of last year, you know, when they just maybe were on that run with Hooksy.
I completely agree with you. And I think it's more like now you can see, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think before we were just like waiting for something needs to change. This isn't really working out the way they wanted it. They kept the same five. They've changed the backroom staff. They added Neo. They added performance coaches. And I feel like it's made a difference. I feel like you can... You know, even going through like Hooks' interview that he made with HLTV, where they stated it focused a little bit too much on the structure. They tried to, you know, add structure upon structure upon structure, and maybe it confused the individuals, especially someone like, you know, Fusi and Rio, who are new into this kind of tier 1 environment to some degree. They couldn't really feel the flow of themselves. And I feel like we've seen a resurgence, especially from Rio, where he's looking dangerous again in this lineup. Obviously, you have, you know, the big star is there. He's always going to deliver no matter what. Like, no matter if they are adding structure on structure on structure, he's still going to be delivering. But it's good to see some of these individuals and also the smiles on their faces. They're enjoying playing together. It's not as much frustration. I feel like they've definitely cleared the air on some of that. So,
yeah,
positive for Astralis. I mean, I could have probably seen them maybe not even making playoff at this event if I was completely honest, like going into the event, because there's a lot of good teams that still missed out on playoffs, like 9C, you have MIBR, Pain, Big. You know, there's some big teams that missed out. And Astralis, they put themselves there. They made a competitive game against G2, at least winning a map. I think that's fair to say competitive. They put themselves in a chance of winning a playoff game. That's, I mean, the right step forward for them. I can't be negative towards them. I don't consider them, you know, they shouldn't be beating G2, if we're all honest. But they at least put the fight up.
And I feel like for me, the last words on Astralis is that this was a successful reset. Not as in they've made some crazy deep run or something, but both events so far this year made playoffs, right? Bounty and the EWC. So it's not this year. This season as we come into the new season. And we can see some of that progress. And it's nice that they've been able to reset without a player change. The only question mark is still, like you mentioned, Ryu being better, right? Stair has been consistent no matter what happens on that team. But Yabi, at times we get God mode Yabi, and you think he can take over everything. Then he disappears again. And I still hope that Ursula is going to be working with Fuzi as much as possible just to keep him level-headed, you know, and get him back into the fight. I think that's hugely important. So after Astralis, we have Magic. Magic's game was going up against, obviously, they beat 9Z in order to make the playoffs, which is already impressive for these guys. And then I would say there was a few moments in this FUT game where I really thought Magic were going to win. Now, FUT handled it in the end. People might look at the score and go, oh, well, like, so Magic picked Ancient, which is normally FUT's go-to map. But then you look at, we see Anubis, Mirage come in, right?
The thing was they went into halftime in 7-5, even though they lost 13-7. Still, they had 5 rounds. They could have probably swung it after they won on Eco to make it 8-6, but couldn't kind of convert and you know, find stability on Anubis. On Mirage, it was just a little bit too big of a gap from that T side. Still made a little bit of a comeback, but there was too many rounds for FUT from their CT side, 9-3 half. But I will say, even on their T side, there was a couple of rounds here as well where they could have won them. There was a lot of chaos in this FUT Magic game, a lot of individual decision making, a lot of 2v2s, 3v3s that just went FUT's direction a lot of the time.
And that comes off the weight, right, of how FUT are playing. And I still think that Magic is a very interesting team. Obviously, there was moments where, I think we spoke about it back at Astana, right, where Moon maybe not be the most flashy or explosive AWPer. But I mean, this was probably the first event where I felt at times he was costing them some moments. Tenzi has always been good. Masval's been holding his own as well. But it's just, when you've got so many good CIS AWPers that you can choose from, Moon, like, he can have a couple of bad events. And obviously they're all grinding like crazy right now. But he could be the difference maker in some of these situations, because people might probably look at like AW and say, oh, look, he had such a bad rating. There were some games where he was just, oh, sorry, not games, but like maps where he was monster carrying. So they all have a chance to shine depending on what the situation is. But I think for Magic, like, just making playoffs is really positive for them. I think this is still a really good showing for a team who doesn't have resources like other organizations, isn't expected to be doing well, and doesn't really have a notable name player, you know, where you're looking at it as like, oh, this is potentially exciting. This is just a team that is grinding and growing up together.
But I could definitely see them even have made it to a quarters, you know, getting a little bit of a weaker opponent maybe in the round of 16, random draw. They could have probably made a quarterfinal. They played well throughout the tournament. They showcase that, they're not like a one tournament wonder, so to speak. And,
True.
they've done it multiple times now. And it's definitely a team that we are going to have to keep an eye on. I'm pretty sure they're going to make the major, even with the way that they're playing, the way that they are, consistently getting into these tier 1 tournaments through qualification of their own. So super interesting team to look out for throughout the season.
100%. Then we come on to Aurora. Aurora, it's tough, right? I'm not going to judge them off just their game versus FURIA in here. You play FURIA in the first game. And by the way, there was quite a lot of Aurora fans in the arena at the same time. A lot of Turkish fans coming from wherever they were living and coming over and coming supporting. But it was a real slog fight for Aurora. You play Ancient.
They should have won that Ancient.
Yeah,
they were 8-3 up on the T side.
And Yakinda's calling, by the way. Remember, he's calling Ancient.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing is, you can look at Aurora even on Mirage. You can look at them on Ancient. This is like clearly, an Aurora that is very, very early on in their building process. You don't go into a map against, maybe equal footing team and lose 10 CT or 10 T rounds in a row. On Mirage, they had a 9-3 lead going into halftime and lose 10 in a row against FURIA on Mirage to close it out. Ancient as well, they had an 8-4 half. I feel like this is a lot about them not having enough solution, haven't gone through enough of things in theory, in practice. This is a learning experience from them that they're going to bring, with them that will improve them. It's just a little bit of growing pains for them because everything is so new. I think when they are a bit more established, these kinds of things won't happen. I mean, it's clear their game plan and the way that they approached the game going into this FURIA game was good. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been competitive on all 3 maps, and probably in the driver's seat in all 3 maps. I mean, that just showcases that they have something good going on.
And I think people might just look at the scores, and if you didn't watch the game, would they just be writing Aurora off? Because again, I saw so many comments of like, "Oh, Kicksan's not good. This team's like not," but there's so much change going on for them. Yeah, they did look competitive as well, right? And if you compare it to FURIA, who's had the same 5 for now a year and whatever it is, right, since MongolZ and Yakinda game, it's like you can't compare the two in that sense.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think Aurora is in a great space. I think to just keep working on what they're working on. I mean, it's very uncharacteristic of Gimpat to drop a 0.76 rating over a best of 3. That's something that I'm 100% sure is going to be improved with, Ash coming in, setting up a little bit of foundation of how do we help Gimpat when he's playing that anchor position. Finding the right flashes, finding the right utility to kind of shield him away from maybe getting isolated too much. So I definitely expect better performance from Gimpat once he gets settled in, because this is 4 new teammates for him.
Still has some cool individual moments as well, though. I can remember a few of them. So I think not long till we get good old Jimmy back. Next is GamerLegion, bro. Just tell me, this GamerLegion MOUZ game, they were cooking. Like, I'm not saying they could have won it, right? Because obviously, when they were getting into overtime, they had to fight so hard for that Ancient. But I mean, I didn't expect them to have a chance in this series, I don't know, maybe I overrated MOUZ so highly. When I was watching this series with the Chinese commentators, some of my friends, and we were sat there going, this Ancient's never going to end. Like, it's just going to keep on going. It's going to keep cooking. But it was wild. It was absolutely
it's
wild.
One of those maps where you don't really, once you start watching it and when it's ended, you don't remember 90% of the map because there's so much going on that you don't know
so much happening in every different place. Like, you can't try and make notes for that game.
No, but I
Oh,
think
man.
it's a little bit of both. I think maybe slight overestimation of MOUZ ability with a combination of severely underestimating GamerLegion going into it. Because, I mean, I think we judged them from, obviously that major... they went pretty bad at the major, right? They went out 0-3 in the stage 2, I think. I'm pretty sure. And before that, they played Austin or something like that. Came second or won it, and played really well. But they've been on a flunk ever since that major, and hasn't really came back into that shape.
Oh, Atlanta they came second. Atlanta they came second. Yeah, but this is before Flammus, right? Yeah.
Yes, even before Flammus. But I also think the addition of Flammus has made them stronger. I mean, BB team, you made a huge mistake. You made a huge mistake. I think they look good. Flammus looks good. They seem to gel. I feel like they almost look better than with PR, even though PR was probably one of the kind of hot prospects from that lineup. I really know. How do you summarize this game? Because it was competitive throughout. I mean, GamerLegion even had like a 10-2 lead on Nuke from CT side, and MOUZ came back.
That comeback from MOUZ,
that is insane.
And the Zelix heroics as well, bro.
From 0 to hero.
Your rookie is pulling you into that game and pulling you out of all of it. Like, obviously, we've seen. I think even at Blast, right, he can look sharp and he can look individually good. But yeah, this was just I don't know. I guess as soon as Mirage was over, I wrote GamerLegion off. Yeah, especially considering they didn't fight too many strong opponents coming into it. But if you're GamerLegion right now, it's I guess the 4 players they have and the coach outside of Flammus will probably be thinking like, this isn't good enough. Yeah. But I don't know where because if you're thinking it right, they went to Atlanta and they did better and stuff. But then you play MOUZ in this, and obviously then it's a single elimination anyway. Maybe you just accept that, like, okay, we were very competitive. We want better next time, and we just need to keep on going. Yeah,
100%. I mean, if you're rated, I mean, let's just look at it from factual 23rd in VRS. MOUZ, their 4th VRS. You're going into the 4th best team in the world in a best of 3 playoff game, and you're 1 round difference every single map. Like 1 round swings in their favor, and they are going to the next round. You can't put yourself in the shoes and say, "Oh no, we're shit. We should disband. We did a
I didn't say that.
No, but like I'm over exaggerating, but. I mean, you can't really look at these results and not gain confidence from it. This is confidence building no matter who it is. Yes, disappointing. Yes, hard to swallow because you had a chance of doing it, but it also puts you in the category of being capable to do it because they've showcased that. So they go into the next game against top 5 opposition, and they know they can make this close. They know they can beat them.
And also, I think they can also be confident to know that it's not just relying on Flammus, right? Because Flammus is now the star of that team by far, but it's building upon other players being more comfortable, knowing how to play off each other as well. And I think, at least for that Ancient game, the fact they were able to come up with so many solutions and ideas, and obviously Snacks' experience, right, is positive for how synergized the team's going to be, at least.
Yeah. No,
all right.
Positives for GamerLegion. Positives for most people in this tournament right now.
For the ones
coming up. Where are the negatives going?
Oh, the negatives will hit real soon. Actually, okay, so MongolZ is next. Is this a negative? You lose 2-0 to Falcons.
I will say the negative for me is I watched that Inferno. They looked good in the start of the game. One bad round happens where they don't plant the bomb. 2 guys die after time because of it in like a semi retake on that A site on Inferno, and I felt their whole mental dropped. They were out of this best of 3 after that round. Like they were completely gone. They started doing stressed executions. They didn't look very MongolZ-esque. They were, I don't know, timid, and it felt like they forced their way through the entire half after that. And I didn't recognize them at all. And I am 100% certain that after that 4th round, I think it was 4-1, because, I mean, they were competitive in all the rounds, and then all of a sudden, everything went to shit, and I think, like, they were out of it. Obviously, they came back and did an okay-ish dust too, but I think the mental to be dropped that easily from like 1 round of not being able to plant the bomb, that's the disappointment for me, because I actually...
So you're talking about when they were 3-1 down on Inferno?
Yeah, and essentially they got the entries, did a very, very late kind of short apps wrap where they had like 10 seconds and they had to kill 2 guys on site. They killed them. And I think, I can't remember who it was, but probably 9-10 had a bomb and was 1 second off from planting. And then 2 guys...
That happens.
Yeah, but 2 guys died from after time. And I think I personally felt like they lost their mental after that.
But it's understandable if obviously we're speculating, but if they lost their mental for like a Dark Meister, Tikwak, brand new to the team, fine. But the others, they should be able to hold themselves together.
Yeah, I think that was the disappointment.
With all their experience.
Even though Falcons, yes, prior to this tournament, were the number 1 team. They were the best. They still, as we've mentioned multiple times on this podcast, they are mortal. They are not like they cruised through that major. It's not like they fought for every single match, and it was close every single match. And you can see
one misplay and they wouldn't be champions.
Yeah, and there's holes in their game. Yes, they are. And as they showcased in this tournament, in the playoff. So I felt like they could have definitely made this a more competitive map or match against Falcons than they did. And that's why I'm disappointed in the Mongols.
And do you know what was crazy? Obviously, MongoZ, prior to that anyway, was leading the charge with rating and everything. But Kyosuke was back for playoffs as well, you know? So it's like Mongols really met the full force of everything Falcons in that game at the same time as everything you described. So Mongols, for me, not a disappointment because you were going up against Falcons. What you're talking about, if that is the case, yeah, that's it. That's a bit upsetting. But Mongols themselves as a team and as a unit, I'm still happy with what I'm seeing from the new players at least. I'm not going to say happy with how that game went or happy if they should be fine with this result because they expect better of themselves. But, I mean, you got a tough draw in the first game, you know?
Yeah.
That gets them a little get out of jail free card. Huge disappointment though, mate. NAVI was the team before group stage who I said was winning the whole tournament. Obviously, when we redid our predictions, I said Falcons, so I'm still wrong, but I mean, I went away from NAVI from what I saw when they played MongolZ and 3D Max. No, but I mean, they played 3D Max and MongolZ, and I was like, not convinced they're going to be doing this, right? For me, I'm just going to say this, right? I'm not going to give them an excuse, but maybe the boot camp was slightly too long. Maybe they were drained because obviously EWC is a bit longer. We have a big break as well, right? So you do the EWC groups, they go through 2-0, and then you've got a huge amount of days off before you get to playoffs again. But this legacy,
I mean, this was really poor from Navi.
Of all teams, I expect to be able to go, I've got a good read on this.
I mean, fine.
I've got Blade. I've got this analyst. Yeah, but you should know what is happening, right? The Legacy are going to make moves. You have had the same 5 players who know how to communicate and work with each other. And I actually spoke with Imma, and I said to him, like, oh, was this a case of like some poor rounds and people got down on each other, or is this some... He's like, no, actually this time things were pretty calm. Like, and I spoke to Blade in the lift, and he was saying that it's like they just need more officials right now. He says he knows what this team can do. He knows that sometimes this team can lose or go out early in 2-3 tournaments, but then he knows they can pop back up and win at a certain time. So he just thinks it's more of this grind. And guess what? They could have gone home when they got eliminated in Paris, but they stayed. EWC was really good, by the way. If teams got eliminated, you could just keep your bootcamp room until the end of the tournament. So a lot of teams could get extra practice in there. So Navi stayed at EWC. Everyone stayed there, getting more practice in. And then they came on the same flight as me today to get here to Copenhagen, and they've been in the practice room today as well. So they're still on the grind, hardcore. Blade obviously giving the full lowdown of what they need to be doing. But this, like, Blade didn't take it as too worrying a loss. The players didn't seem to be too worried about this. But for me, I'm like, it's the way they lost. It is. It's a bit of a yikes.
I mean, I get the argument that they need more officials, but it's also they chose this route. They chose to take a break from, competing too much early on in the season to be prepared for when the actual tournaments hit. So I get that you get a little bit of, early season jitters and everything doesn't mesh up perfectly for you and all of that. But at the end of the day, you chose that path.
Mm-hmm.
You could have gone to the tournaments beforehand and gotten rid of this already and been more ready like Vitality or Falcons.
Yeah, not Skip, right?
Who bombed out already.
Yeah. Very true.
So
very, very true.
I just feel like if you make that conscious choice, then you should be able to be more ready when the officials hit.
Yeah.
Because you've gotten more practice. You should be more ready.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Navi was a disappointment for me. They came up against a well-playing Legacy, but man, you can't pick a map and lose 13-2.
Especially Ancient, where it's normally MongolZ farming, right? And they've been so strong on it, and they know exactly how they're playing and what they're going to do. And that's another thing. Navi always has something to their game where they're not exactly predictable to what they were last time. Where I also expect them to be so prepared for what Legacy's going to do. And it still didn't matter because the confidence, Legacy will just fight you. Yeah? And who did the fighting better? Well, we know why. We know why. From that disappointing one, I'm not going to call this next one a FaZe disappointing Devilwalk, but I will say this game didn't live up to the expectations I was hoping it for, We hyped this game up as a potential to be mega exciting, super fun to watch, and the Dust 2 was. The Dust 2 was.
The Dust 2 was.
And it gave me such high expectations for what the rest of that game could be. And Vitality were like, cool, come challenge us on Cash. Why not?
Yeah, it was the Cash that was disappointing. Obviously, FaZe have been, they've been beasts on that map.
Before they were number one in the world.
This is their first recorded loss on Cash?
Yeah, I think so.
So far against Vitality, and they got crushed. They got absolutely demolished.
And I'm not...
Saivu, obviously, what can you say? He has 25 kills and 10 deaths. 221 rated Cash with a plus 10% swing.
Pretty huge.
It's not the easiest
to make a carry performance
to go up against, but yeah, I expected more from the Cash. I thought, going into the game, Dust 2 could be a little bit of a shaky one for Vitality. I felt like that was proven right, that this could have been a map that even FaZe could have picked up against them. Cash, I thought was for sure going to be FaZe's because they looked so incredibly good on it. Looked like one of the best teams in the world on it. And didn't pan out that way, unfortunately. What else to say? It was kind of anticlimactic once we came to that Cash.
I thought oh, wait a sec. Let's see if I can make this possible. Yo! Filming a podcast. Yeah. I just want you to come say hi to everyone. I don't need to answer any questions or anything. I just want you to pop your head here and say hi. Devilwalk's, wait, let me show you. Devilwalk's there.
Hello.
See, the benefit of doing the podcast in the middle of the breakfast hall like this time. Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh? I was like, look at him. I saw you there when I was talking to Devilwalk, and I was like, oh, I think that's Igor. You waiting for food?
Yes. Somewhere here.
Of course. Maybe try the back entrance. Sometimes they go that way. Are you going to go sleep?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah? All right.
Media tomorrow, practice.
What time's media?
What time?
Yeah. Early. Oh,
Close the day.
easy day for you. No, we have practice.
In the morning you can practice.
What? 3 media? And then practice in the morning. From when? Hard practice. Good luck, man. Sleep well. Thank you very much. There we go. The beauty of being able to be in the breakfast hall. We can just see players, text them, tell them to come on over. And then I thought that's just something fun. We can stick into the podcast for everyone in there. So enjoy that. A little hi from Wonderful himself. And obviously we had just covered Navi, but I'm not going to push him on that because I already got lots of information talking to Blade and Imma. My thoughts on this for FaZe, by the way, is they had chances and they could have taken Dust 2, and that might have changed everything in how Cash played out. But it does mean if you're another team looking at Vitality and thinking, maybe we'll try your Cash, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't do that, you know, because Zyra was farming. They looked pretty well drilled and ready for it. But the same as what I said earlier, I just wanted more because in my mind, I thought this was going to be such a banger matchup. But it does kind of tell us a bit of where FaZe was, because when I did the interview, I did the exit interview with Twists, and he was very honest of saying, like, the team just messed up some things, maybe under the pressure. And you got to remember, there was a hell of a lot of Vitality fans cheering, screaming, shouting, la, 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 la at the same time, right?
That is true.
And you've got 3 pretty young players. Like, Jacob now has more experience. I think you can't call him the young player. But Nachu, also a French player, obviously, they're going to be cheering for Vitality. And then Jaboan, you know, still getting very much used to this kind of thing. And he was massively cheered on his last arena events for XPL in China because he's in a FaZe jersey, you know? So it's very different when you're getting not booed, but like not cheered for, you know? It's all against you in that sense.
You know you're not the favorite in the arena.
Yeah. Even, like, the thing is, FaZe didn't get booed, but it's still like, you know, you get a banging kill. Woo. Vitality get 1 kill of anything, just some general normal kill. And everything's going fucking crazy, you know? Like, that's the difference in it. It doesn't make you feel good throughout. But Twist was saying they were forgetting some things. They didn't do the things that was, like, on plan, and they also took a bit of it into being him and NKJ's fault on, like, not being as prepared as what he would have wanted them to be in some situations. Or he did say, obviously, he needs to look back at the game. He did the interview with me just when the game finished, but he was saying maybe they did change some things compared to what they'd researched, right? So it's fair, it's honest, and I don't really have a problem with them going out in this position because you went up against Vitality, you know? It's going to be tough. And on our next team, I've kind of got a similar thought because it was Bait. Bait did really well, right? They beat Vitality, they beat Paravision. We were very hyped on them winning Vitality, but doing it against a Spirit on a stage, even when you are, by the way, Spirit's getting booed, Bait's being cheered for, sometimes you just get donked. And I would have liked to have seen Bait get a map, but I didn't expect him to get a map.
Is there anything else but that? No, but I mean, it is pretty much only they got donked.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, overall, it wasn't like they weren't competitive. I mean, we all remember it was against Bait. Donk jumped behind the middle from short with the deagle, right? Or is that someone else?
I know he got an ace in this one.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
No, it couldn't have been Spirit or Legacy.
4 deagle kills, 3 headshots on the defensive flank. Yeah, you're right. Good memory.
And that's one of the swing rounds. Like, you have money control. All of a sudden, yes, Donk has a deagle and just
does what he does.
Destroys you.
But also, with the way...
And he aced, what, 3 times in this series?
But do you know what? I was going to say this.
With a 4K as well.
Because this is what Bait's style of playing, yeah? where they want to fight her like this, it fits perfectly into giving Donk what he wants. Yeah? Kendazor will challenge him. MPL will challenge him. But both of those players are not Donk. And they might win a duel here or there, but you are going up against literally the greatest rifler. And he will manhandle you. So sometimes you need to, get the refrags going, trade up a little bit, or pack it up together and run for it. Maybe that can be a better option for you. So...
yeah, it's just... I think they just got completely donked. And he turned the game for Spirit. I think overall they played a good game of Counter-Strike against Spirit. But sometimes that's just not enough.
Nope, not enough. So now we get on to our top 8s. And this is where we were really looking at like some of the great games from this. Some of the really great games in this. So FURIA versus G2 was not a great game. This was a game that left me...
It was the most boring game.
It wasn't just boring. It just made... It was like two teams who don't know how to play maps playing each other on the maps. I mean that with... I don't mean that with disrespect. I'm sorry, players. I don't mean that with disrespect. But G2 see Ancients open, yeah? Because obviously FURIA's playing around with that map pool. And G2's thinking, well, yeah, but also G2's Ancient ain't that good. It ain't that special. And then they get absolutely smashed 13-3. And then Anubis is there, right? So, by the way, Ancient and Anubis is being called by, and I think there's one other map. Ancient and Anubis 100% being called by Yakinder at the moment. But they said it might just be an experiment for a little bit of time. So maybe this event is just going to be all back on Fallen, right? So then Anubis comes around. T-side start for G2. And they just roll over FURIA anyway. For me, that's unacceptable, especially on your CT side, even if people still think it's a T-side map or what when it comes to Anubis, or maybe the changes do make it more CT-sided. FURIA used to be great at Anubis. Great at Anubis.
Yeah, but if you pick a map, like it's very, very uncommon. You get 13-3.
Yeah. And then, so after that, right, we just sat there going, what is happening? And we go to Dust 2. Dust 2 of old for G2, right? If I'm going 4 or 5 months ago, was a great, like they would be picking that and winning that against good teams. And they have the same turn of it. It was basically like whoever got some momentum started to take control and the other team just rolled over and died. So I was happy with G2's performance against Astralis because they only lost the map I expected them to lose. But then this was disappointing because this just showed massive inconsistencies.
I mean...
And I was so hyped up on Rinkle.
It's probably the worst game of the playoff.
Yeah. Considering we got some really good games after this as well. Oh,
yeah.
Very disappointing. I just wanted to look down Wrinkle's stats as well, just because I'm keeping an eye on him and I'm still keen on him. He ends as a 1.07. It's not bad, He's still having a chance to be a bit more flashy as he would be. You've got Nerds, Heavy God, and Wrinkle being the ones up there at the moment. It's Matties, who's now 2 events in a row, taking a bit of a hit. I'm not going to go mad on that right now, but I am going to keep an eye on this going forward. Like, if we don't get razor sharp, dominant Matties, but maybe it's just maybe it's just through the changes that are happening in the team. Maybe it's the part of the voice that's gone. Because remember, so I did the interview with Saw, but Saw also did one with HLTV, and they were saying how obviously some players had such a voice, but they don't want Wrinkle to have one. They just want him to be aggressive. They want him to make all the plays that Wrinkle of old used to make, right? So maybe part of losing that voice is hurting Matties in some way. Just maybe. I'm just putting it out there.
It's possible, but I think it's more on the line of, it's been a lot of focus of integrating a new player. Mm-hmm. So that's the focus. And other players are not going to have as good of solutions or, maybe they're running the same kind of defense. And if you're kind of an anchor player, maybe you're hurt because it's a bit more obvious to tell how they're going to set up in certain situations. And that's when the anchor players are going to take the brunt of the damage if you're predictable on your defense.
Yeah.
So I think it could be something along those lines, that just the main focus has just been to integrate him. They're doing that. It's working fine. And we'll see them pick up a little bit more. I don't see this as a major issue. It's not something that I've noted. I think it's just
Yeah. From here, this is where things get exciting. MOUZ and FUT. MOUZ we're going to talk about because they get eliminated in 5th to 8th place, right? So first of all,
Yep.
obviously MOUZ takes down GamerLegion. We covered that game. A real crazy one. They could have gone out. They could have already been eliminated. I thought that was going to be a bit of a wake-up call. But then when you see they have to match up against FUT. So if you look at the head-to-head between MOUZ and FUT, it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, now 5 series. And
Since
only
February.
since February 26th, and only 1 series has been won by MOUZ. FUT have their
That was
number.
the first one.
And I asked you this question because I said I don't understand it. What is it within this matchup that MOUZ can't catch a break? Because we've seen this before when MOUZ played Vitality, but that's when Vitality were on top of everyone, right? FUT, yes, you've got Crabeni making plays, you've got crazy sharp individuals, and I know they're super confident. I spoke to XCloud about it on the pre-match interview, and he was like, my teammates don't fucking care about who they're facing. They're just like, they will fight anyone. They have crazy confidence. They're like, we're going to get them, you know? And, well, they don't just get MOUZ, they dominate MOUZ.
Well, not the first 2 kind of series they had.
Oh, I'm not about score.
I will
I'm not saying
say
dominate by score. I meant like
the
just play
first
style and
series
fighting
they
them.
played back in February for PGL Cluj-Napoca. I remember we reviewed this game, and FUT kind of made like massive mistakes because Overpass had a really strong map for MOUZ in their map.
They were still really rookies then,
back
yeah?
then.
This is like the beginning of
and they were really rookies, and they would step and kind of reveal where they were going in the mid rounds, etc., which kind of gave MOUZ the edge. But I think that the simple.
This is where they were making footsteps. They were making footsteps. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Rotating back to B. That's that. That's the one that MOUZ won. That's the series that MOUZ
That's
won.
inexperience.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think overall, if you actually look at just what is MOUZ good at and what is FUT kind of doing, MOUZ, they're structured, they excel at, blocking at the right time, playing tactical teams and kind of figuring them out and saving utility to block at the right opportunity. People who like to go back and forth and trick you. That's where MOUZ are good. They're good at finding out when people are trying to trick them, when they're trying to, make sure that they have an edge.
Yeah.
FUT, they don't play like that. They don't play on, we're going to get an edge. They brute force their way into things, and they play very snappy T-sides. Like, if you look at like the average... I don't have the numbers, but if you would look up like the average T-side round length for FUT, it'd probably be more like 25 seconds. Like, it's super fast. Like, it's 1-4. It's like small little breaks. They see the opportunity. Crabeni is aggressive pretty much every single round in the first 15 to 20 seconds. You look at like an Ancient. Crabeni is pushing through smoke, sneaking through in cave areas.
On CT side, he does it as well.
Executing at the same time. Yeah, all the time. And I think it's just the fact that, MOUZ intricacies and small trigger points, they're useless in this Counter-Strike. It's just aim. They're brute forcing their way, trading themselves in. They always get a bomb plant and playing this aim-based, 3v3s or after plants or whatever retakes there are. So I think it's more a stylistic thing where, first of all, MOUZ needs to be always afraid because it happens this quick. It's very, very... Crabeni has cave, let's go B. Like, that's essentially it, He clears cave, they brute force their way in, and whilst they are, occupied with Crabeni, the rest of the team takes space, they get the trades, and then, all these tactical, I'm gonna block this space, and I'm gonna rotate here, it doesn't really matter. It's just, I think it's more about that. That they are so fast-paced and so, brutal in the way that they approach their T-sides. that it kind of counters the structure that MOUZ has. They don't get to play their structure because it's already broken apart by the time that they get the chance to.
And that's what I was saying. Obviously, you thought I meant dominating by like the score lines, but I'm on about dominating like how MOUZ were always feeling uncomfortable, because for me, when I'm looking at it, it was they can't be safe, and also the individuals will just hit you. And even when the opener doesn't go the way of FUT, right, or they can't break their way into a site, it's the follow-up, it's the refrag, it's the straight trade into it where you go, they just, they pass the information on. The synergy, even with xCloud in, we spoke about them being synergized before. Whatever happens, I know it's the same core 4, but they're just like, all know what's happening, all know what's going to be done, and they play off each other so well. And I think it's just a joy to watch. And they on Ancient it was just domination though. On Ancient, MOUZ didn't stand a chance. They looked like they didn't know how to play the map.
Yeah, but I think it's just like they have a very simple way of playing the T sides, but I'm not saying they're brainless people just running, copying strats. Yeah. They're really good at adjusting because they take like mid super aggressive, and get mid control super early on Ancient. They get cave control through mid, and all of a sudden they're set up. The next round, they kind of like don't take mid as fast. They let MOUZ use all their utility, and then they just sneak out mid and just go straight into donut. Like, it's these small integrate, like it's really simple adjustments they make, but super smart, where they kind of let them counter us, then we counter. Like it's like let them. We know they don't want us to have mid that early. They're gonna put extra pressure on it because we just did this, and then they use that information and they apply a call. Yes, there's risk to it, but it's smart risk taking, and I love that about FUT. It's simple CS, but used in a very effective way.
So to come back onto MOUZ with this then, right? MOUZ, I would always say, is a team that learns, and then they're growing, and they've got Zipnix there, Cyclone. They come together as a team and find a solution. Well, you lost in the group stage. You tried a different map. You tried to punish the Dust 2 that had been looking previously weak for FUT, right? And you'd end up losing 2-0. So that's when I'm just like, stylistically, this team is just better than you. Or at least better versus you, not maybe better than you, right? Maybe that's the wrong way to put it. But as in, their style just counters you. Like, you don't have the answers for this.
I find it weird that they try to change up the nuke pick when they have never, ever lost a nuke against FUT. That one I find really weird, and I mean, we saw it in the final for FUT. They are weak on that map. They are not like it's not as good as the other maps. I mean, they have 0% win rate on it. so
they had.
That probably tells you a story.
So for MOUZ, right? I don't think this is bad. I think it's a problem, because if they ever come up against FUT, they'll basically feel like they can't win anyway, and they need to find some solutions around it. Obviously, they already won an event this year, right? And they beat Spirit in the final for doing it. I'm not going to hold this one against them, but I am. It's another one where I'm going to look at this as like, okay, so you lose like this to FUT, who else are you going to have problems against?
But if we zoom out, just beginning of bracket, we've seen the draw. There's MOUZ GamerLegion, Magic FUT, FURIA Aurora, and G2 Astralis on this upper side of the bracket. Yeah. Surely MOUZ must feel like if there's ever going to be a great chance of winning this event, it's now. Like, we're in the best possible position that we could possibly be in to make it to the grand final.
Yeah.
That, I think, must be disappointing, considering the good form they come into this event with. I think a lot of people probably favored or looked at them or FURIA as a possible candidate to be, in the final.
What did we say? We said we both said FURIA, though.
we both said it's very likely the FURIA
Yeah.
and Falcons are in the final. We were both dead wrong.
No, but what?
But it looked
That's not
way.
the point I'm trying to make, whether we're wrong or right. It's more, even with MOUZ's win at Bounty, when we think of a bigger event with more pressure and a bigger crowd, we still go away from MOUZ. I'm not saying that they've won in front of crowds now, right?
I think
But
we
they still
both
have this feeling.
probably saw them in a semi.
Yeah. But I mean, this is still one where we know MOUZ have more flaws than a lot of these other teams, and in that elite top 6 lane. So that's a problem they have to deal with. That is what they need to look at next. Okay, so after MOUZ, oh no, it's Falcons. So, boy, I looked at this again. It's just, I had the same conversation as I did about NAVI. Of all teams, Falcons should understand that this aggression is going to come at them. You played them in CAC and lost the final to them. You already lost the trophy to them. Also for Falcons, this event is really important for the organization, yeah, as EWC is. And you want to prove yourselves again after winning the major. The way they lost, the lack of T rounds on Mirage, the way Nico did that interview afterwards, and he was like, I can't remember the last time I lost like this, you know? Legacy did not fear them. MONOZZ looked distraught. And people can say it's just one game or whatever, but this wasn't about like the same old Falcons failing a 2v5 or a 3v5. This was a better playing and better hitting Legacy. And do you know what? We can pull this up, Devilwalk. We both said when Tri joined this team that this is the most perfect team for him. And guess what? I got more information for you. I spoke to Tri. Tri told me, he said, when I joined the team, Art told me he is going to make me a top 20 player in the world. He will set me up to be a top 20 player in the world. He will use me correctly to be a top 20 player in the world. That's crazy, huh? That's huge. And imagine if you're Tri and you feel that.
Crazy.
It's not crazy, but I mean, imagine if you're Tri who you were nowhere near that opportunity before, yeah? And you feel that confidence given to you by your IGL, and you're now playing all these big events where before you were just only making it sometimes when you were in a qualifier. And he's got the freedom and trust to do what he needs to do. Oh.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it is the perfect team for him.
Oh.
It is an incredible moment, feeling, you know, he's probably believing himself in a way that he's never done before.
By the way, I've derailed this. I've just given all the Legacy stuff and we're talking about Falcons. I've done a U.
Yeah.
I've done a U. I've done a Devilwalk. All right, let's bring it back onto Falcons. I just look at it.
Was really
the
poor.
Individuals should be better. Yeah. We're talking about these major champions. I can understand if you lose to the Spirits or the Vitalities or, you know, something else. But not Legacy. When you know how they're going to play. Carrion, you faced them already.
Yeah, I don't really know how to sum this up for Falcons. I mean, I feel like it just proves kind of my point that this isn't a super stable Falcons.
Yeah.
This is a Falcons that needs something to go their way, to get rolling, to get something going. And I think if you're playing a Legacy, they're gonna expose, and this might sound sexual, all your holes in the map.
If you didn't say that, I wouldn't have taken it that way because of the way you presented it.
Are you sure? Either way, they're aggressive. That's the point, right? They're gonna poke and prod. They're gonna, you know, they're gonna take the one-on-one duel out, us two on long. You know, like they don't care. They're going to take that duel, and it's not always gonna look tactical. It's not always gonna look like super finessey, but they like to be aggressive, and you better be ready, especially like if you have Kerrigan holding long, you better be ready for Latto showing up there, like one of the strongest players in that Legacy team to be challenging you. And if you fail, that's when Legacy, they're so good at pouncing once they find that weakness, once they find, you know, the spot that is going to deliver them space and cause panic for the other team. That's when they are so effective.
Do Do you remember on Dust 2 how many of the timings though for Falcons were just crazy? Like Carrigan's holding the smoke at long, right? Waiting.
Yep.
No one pushes, so he thinks, okay, maybe it's clear. Then he pushes the smoke. One of the legacy players is just like, I've been here the whole time. Like, and then another one. Carrigan's like, again, waiting, holding outside long, and a legacy player doesn't move. This is when we flopped over and Legacy's now on the CT side. And then just at the right timing, he gets pushed by an MP9 and it's a full flank and they just get done by it. And it's like, it's not about luck. It's just about the right reads and the right decision making, right? And there's a bit of luck involved in it, but it just went to show that like, some of the rounds would be just, you would be tilted by these moments 100%. It is very infuriating.
100%. But I mean, that's what you get with Legacy. They can push you early round and they can push you late round. And I mean, what's sure is they're going to push you
at some point.
At some point,
it's going to happen. Absolute facts.
Yeah, it's disappointing for Falcons for sure. I mean, you have to say it's super disappointing. MongolZ was the only one that really showed up in that game against Legacy.
Especially with how well Kyosuke played
the rest
before.
Of them was very flat.
I was expecting, the duo to be there to deliver, and then it didn't either. But that's that.
But do you feel like one part of me is saying that Falcons lost purely out of the disrespect from Legacy in some case, like that they don't respect Falcons in the same way that other teams do. They don't respect the individuals the same way that other teams do, because it's the same kind of thing you get with Donk or a Saivu. You respect them so much that you get an opportunity, but you're not taking it fully because it's that guy I'm facing.
Yeah, but I don't think Legacy respect anyone.
No, they don't. But I feel like that's like the strength of Legacy, right? That's the power of Legacy is that disrespect.
Yeah.
The uncarelessness as they play Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So I'm not going to say we're worried about Falcons. I'm just going to say this is disappointing. And I said they needed to do better here at EWC. Didn't really happen. It's a better result than Blast Bounty. But I mean, it's not good enough still. It's way below expected standards. So here in Porto, they've got to be aiming big. And I know only one team can win each event, but I mean, I want to see you be competitive in that run, not get 2-0'd like that. So yeah, questions still to be asked around the Falcons. And then the next big disappointment comes in. I think this one's less of a disappointment because they did lose to Spirit in the end. But I mean, we got Anubis.
You're disappointed in Legacy?
No. I was disappointed in Falcons, and now I'm saying I was also disappointed in Vitality. But it's less of a disappointment than Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's less of a disappointment, right? So they played Anubis, Nuke, and Mirage. They definitely could have lost that Nuke. Obviously, I know you said you didn't see the game, but there was a moment where Magic's is CT. Donk's already been put down to low health. He's rotating vents, and going to go down to Secret. And actually, Vitality at that point are set up for Secret. They're all set up for Secret and taking B. And then Magic throws a grenade. Donk's actually come back up the ladder. He can't see the strikers within the smoke.
Oh, I saw that one.
Donk dies, and it's literally the instant. Someone said, I didn't see this part, but someone said that if you saw all the Vitality players look at the kill feed from their camera at the same time and like insta-rotate. Donk's dead. We know where we're going, And they just hit the A site, and then it all fell apart. But even with that, and they had to fight so hard for it. Like, by the way, they could have had Anubis. Like, they could have definitely had Anubis. Tanir was having some crazy plays on B main, just really hurting them, breaking his way in, doing things that, like, was top of Tanir's level can do. The Nuke could have easily gone Spirit's way. It could have been a 2-0. But then the Mirage was just depressing. The Mirage was, I don't know what to say. And by the way, this is it. If everyone wants to say Zaiwu is so good, which he is, he's an incredible player. He doesn't do the I can save you moments as much as a Donk can just single carry and save you, you know? Like, he wasn't going to pull them back out of this one because they were all down and out in the dumps of this.
I mean, I slightly disagree with that statement. I think Cyber does plenty of those moments.
He does plenty of it, but that's also when the team's performing well, right? But what I mean, I need to see in something like this where Zai will bring, like has a couple of crazy rounds and then they can be brought back into it. I know that's also on the other players to come in, but like how many times do we see Spirit is completely out of it? They got no chance. And then a Donk will pull off some craziness and it like relights the fire with it.
That's Donk. It's Donk.
Okay. But, they're two players who hold to this same standard.
Yeah.
Oh, also, this was the last
point.
event for this 5 of Vitality together for the meantime, right? And Messi was performing very well throughout the whole tournament as well. I think he ended pretty good. Let me check. Yeah, Messi 1.09.
In the series, he had a 107 against Spirits. That's decent.
Yeah, so Messi was playing pretty well, right? Flamesy was doing good. So they had what they needed to get the job done here. And then to lose like they did on Mirage is sad. And now Messi's not going to be here and Jail's here at Blast. So it's like we've got more unanswered questions as we go into this. We can't judge them to this. Like, I'm not going to judge their next events like it's like the Vitality era is over just because they're playing with a stand-in.
No, I don't think so either. But we have to kind of weirdly enough take a pause on the Vitality era.
Yeah.
Because of this situation.
People won't though, right? People will just say it's over now.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that though. It's not the same team and this is circumstances and they just need the break. That's it.
Yeah.
So give me your final thoughts on Vitality with this performance. This way of going out.
Well, I didn't watch that last game. But I mean, I kind of thought that this is where they are right now. I don't expect them to be like maybe winning the trophies 100% at the moment. I still don't think the team is like over, it's dead. Like all of a sudden we can't think of Vitality winning an event. Mm-hmm. They were still close. If they would have pulled through on that Anubis, they're probably sitting there in the grand final against FUT and probably having a similar result to Spirit overall. So I think it's small. Like the gap between these teams is so small that I just see Vitality coming back in a stage within the next 2.5 months and being the Vitality we know, we love.
With a dad buff.
That can dominate Counter-Strike games. With the dad buff, dad buff. Those extra calories on the belly, they do work, man, in CS.
Trap players play better Counter-Strike.
It's like that aged-old discussion of every player that went to gym got worse.
Yeah. Oh, dear. That's all jokes. It's all jokes, guys. Don't take it too seriously.
I'm not sure it's jokes, man.
You were skinny your whole career. You're still skinny now.
Look at Coldzera. It's prime. How did he look compared to
what he looks like now?
His face days.
Okay. You are correct. All right, from here we go on to our top 4 teams. And sorry if people think the energy is a little bit low. I have been awake since 7 a.m. for my travel day. It is now 11:37. I am feeling knackered. But one of the best games that we had, maybe the best game of the entire tournament.
I think the best game of the tournament.
FUT FURIA. FURIA going out to FUT. But by the way, if people didn't know, we've touched on this so much with FUT, but there was some good history going on here, man. From their games at Blast Bounty into Krakow and also Cluj. Like, they've always had good games. I remember even Blast Bounty, like, I really thought FUT was going to win.
Time.
Yeah. And now for FUT to be able to get this win when it really matters is huge. Absolutely huge. And even bouncing back after that nuke defeat, doing this in overtime, climbing your way back into a game as well, off the back of those T sides. Just the Krabeni plays as well. For FURIA, Like I saw Fallen come off the stage after, right? And I know obviously he's on his like retirement lap right now, but he was like weirdly happy because of how good the game was to play, you know? Like he enjoyed playing that game against him. And I think that's a huge sign of like respect, right?
100%.
Table.
You
I
were
don't know
the whole setup would fall apart.
No, it's very big, heavy table. I don't have any shoes on. I've got some slippers on. I just kicked the fucking thing in my toe. Not nice. But what about Furia?
Furia. I mean, I watched a lot of this game. It was a really, really fun game to watch. Obviously, the nuke went Furia's way, and it was kind of a walk in the park. But the intensity of the Ancient and the Dust 2 was insane. It was back and forth. It was, you could never really know, like, even looking at it now from a replay, looking at the stats page, 3 rounds for FUT, 3 rounds for Furia, 3 rounds for FUT, 2 rounds for Furia, 1 round for FUT, 3 rounds for Furia, 3 rounds for FUT, 3 rounds for Furia, 3 rounds for FUT. It was back and forth the entire game through. And eventually FUT won that 13-11. But it was so many crazy plays. It was clutches. It was impossible situations. It was everything from people finding gaps and coming behind to, you know, excellent teamwork and shutdowns. The game had everything, I think.
Definitely. Everything, get it. And for Fallen to come off the stage and say how good that game was afterwards as well, it also paints a picture, right? It also says, I know it's not fun for them to lose it. Also, respects Yakinda, does the exit interview at that point, right? Because only third place decided tomorrow. And I asked him, like, how would you reset and make sure the team's at their best going into this third place decider? And he's like, I don't give a fuck about it with the third place decider. And I know it's important for VRS and there's also a money difference, but they only care about the trophy. They want the trophy. So very much so that we're like, yeah, fuck this, man. I don't want to go through this. Because it must be so hard when you feel like you should be in the final, you could have done this. And then you go, the reality is I'm not. And now I have to play a third place decider. Like,
yeah, that's
the
shittiest feeling in the world.
You want to already like decompress and go through the whole emotions that you can't lift the trophy now, right? The dream is gone. But instead,
you want to eat junk food in your hotel room and just feel like dying,
wallow,
you know?
Cry a bit, maybe, you know, just be unhappy. But instead, you gotta
just overbuy on McDonald's. Just give me the fucking desserts. Give me this.
But instead, what have you got to do? You've got to bloody go back to the prep room, get ready for your next game.
Yeah, reboot. Find some motivation.
And it's so hard. So I respect Yakinda for calling that out, man, because I know. By the way, it's not just him. There's so many players that feel like that. So FUT finally got the win over Furia. There's nothing wrong with that. FUT is such an up and coming team.
I want to highlight one thing with this game, because I've seen, and this is a little bit on FUT, but Cemetery has been getting, I don't know what weird amount of hate on the internet.
Yeah,
in this
I've seen that
lineup. I feel like.
Can't we save this for FUT though, rather than Furia conversation now?
Yeah. But either way, it's in this game. I felt like he played an incredible game against Furia and really pushed them through. He had clutches, he had impact. So I just wanted to mention him, give him a thumbs up. You know, he did a really good game, and I don't agree with the hatred of Cemetery.
Good. Glad you don't. And I don't think we should hate anyone on the Furia side, because all of them can play really well at any given time, including Fallen having some crazy games. Like Fallen was carrying that Dust 2, by the way, for a long time. Fallen was doing everything against FUT, right? He was playing the mind games. He was trying to find the timings. So,
dude, him on long, he was excellent on long.
Dude, and I'm like,
dude, he was taking those one-on-one duels, going off angles, shutting people down. Like he was really.
I'll tell you what I thought about. I'm just gonna go look at it now. I remember saying at one point was like, if he can keep playing like this against a young team like FUT, he can't retire. Like you can't allow him to retire, man. I'm sorry, Fallen. I know you keep saying you're gonna retire, but you need to keep going if you're gonna be like this, man. You're gonna have to keep going. And then obviously they played a third place decider. I will say, it was a very boring third place decider. Starts off with an Ancient win, but Legacy pick Ancient despite them knowing that Furia we're gonna probably like
Everyone's been walking into the trap.
yeah. You know, it was so strange. It was so strange. And then Furia lose Nuke. And I think after Nuke, by this point, they're thinking, like, what the hell's going on? And Dust 2 was like a little bit of control midway through the game for Furia. But Legacy were just hitting. Do you know what it felt like to me? It just did feel like, and I'm happy to be wrong if the players want to say it, but it just felt like Legacy wanted this more, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the only way.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think that's the only way I would put it.
I think that's fair. I could see it from that angle as well. I mean, it's a game that's way more important for Legacy being ranked, you know, around that 10-15 mark compared to Furia, who is, what are they? 6th?
Yeah.
So the VRS in that case, you know, for an upcoming end of the season, a major tier 1 invites, it's on a balanced scale for Legacy that they may get, may not get, while Furia, they're pretty secure.
All right. And then we go on to Legacy. Obviously, Legacy, we touched on beating Navi, beating Falcons, both for 2-0. They met their match with Spirit, right? And maybe I'm dumbing this down too much, Devilwalk, but I'd like you to go through it with me. I feel like Legacy is exactly the type of team that fits perfectly for how Donk would like to fight people. Like, you're basically giving him I'm not going to call Legacy a face-it team, but like some face-it level fights that he like eats up for breakfast that is like golden for him to just dominate.
I mean, to a certain degree, yes. You're definitely going to get players who aren't shying away from taking duels against him. They're probably not going to be super intricate with using too much utility, trying to shut him down or avoid him. Yep. That's not really Legacy's way. They're definitely going to try, and they did some rounds, but you're always going to have those rounds where Donk just pulls through. You're not going to get him down, and he just shuts you down in the most, you know, the worst way possible for you financially in the game. And that's kind of what we saw. I thought Shiro had an amazing game as well. He's been getting some hate that he should be, you know, even last episode people are, you know,
because of the GG
about
Mirage game.
Yeah, and it just like here we can see why Shiro is so freaking good. Because he will, against teams that take a lot of duels, that want to challenge for a lot of space, he shuts that down. Yeah. And he's the perfect AWPer for
and he'll just hit his shot.
And I think them two in tandem just pretty much secured Spirit the game just by their understanding. You have the aggressive piece in Donk who could bring you the rounds and bring you the unlikely scenarios back to you. But you also had Shiro shutting down every single individual play that Legacy tried to do, especially on that Dust 2. See, you know, Legacy couldn't get their T side going. And a lot of that was because of Shiro.
Yeah. And what was really interesting was Zontix coming to life on the T side. You know, normally when I think of Zontix moments, it would be CT side, you know, being very smart, buying some time, being defensive. T side, he was having a field day and was just racking up kills. Like he was having one of these games. But then he also had that crazy jumping shot that like he should have died, you know. He jumps and gets the kill onto the guy who's trying to push around him on B and catch him off guard. Like he was just dialed in.
Oh,
he was dialed in and locked in the whole time. So Zontix was having a good time at this point, right? And if I'm thinking, like, we've been looking for the Tanier, Zontix, whoever's going to be there alongside Shiro and Donk, you can rely on. Zontix to come up in a game like that, an important one as well, where Legacy can be tricky. That's a huge win. But for Legacy, I think there's no shame in this. Going semi-finals, going up against the Spirit, it's very different from the other two teams we were talking about, right? To go down in this fashion and then still beat Furia, your domestic rival, and how much it means to you and show up for that game, like, it's huge. And I want to just quickly look at the difference in prize money. So 190,000 for Legacy, 110,000 for Furia. I know maybe money doesn't matter so much for some players. But I mean, for legacy players and that organization, that's huge. That's absolutely huge.
Yeah.
That's a massive win for these guys.
No, I think no one really thought that, legacy coming from that side of the bracket
Yep.
to make it to a semi-final, they had to beat Navi, Falcons, just to make it to that semi-final against Spirit, and they also beat FURIA.
Yeah.
That's 3 big teams you beat in one tournament. And before that, who did they beat in the group stage? They beat NIP and MIBR. Okay, so that's fair. They beat the teams they needed to, but beating Falcons, Navi, and FURIA in the same tournament, that's huge.
Yep.
Like, that's amazing. That's, almost unheard of for some teams. Even if you're in that, top 10 kind of mark, you would never see, like, or could you even imagine like a G2 beating Navi, Falcons, and FURIA in the same tournament?
No way. Not at all. Not at the moment. Not in current form.
I think that just proves, how successful this tournament was for Legacy.
And I also think that for Legacy now, it's not just a DeMau and Lato show, right? You've got a capable AWPer who can be aggressive, who can be flashy, who can hit some crazy shots, but also he can be very stable for them as well. They're going to give him the freedom he wants, but he's also listening. And when you speak to Try in person at an event, you get to see he's a mature AWPer, as a mature person. He's making the smart decisions at times as well. He can be let loose when he's feeling it, but he can also be the one to provide for the team. So I'm high on the Legacy run. I want to see if they can keep it up, because remember, we saw this before. They won CAC, they came to some of these other tier 1 events, and it was like, okay, then not enough, they'd fall off. But we've also got past the legacy of always playing 3 maps,
Yep.
So they're even been able to get themselves on the track again.
It's a big thing. I wanted to add on a little bit on this Try conversation, because, I watched them, most of the tournament, most of the games that they played, and I think one of the elements that Try has is he can be aggressive, but he can be aggressive in a very calculative way. We look at FURIA game. There was a moment where he pushes out short, he sits there, and he's just holding, there's MongolZ boosted up in Suicide, he's holding the push out short, you have Try sitting like 2 pixels away, not showing himself, but he's out there on short, but just not in the angle that MongolZ is boosted from, and he's just holding there for like 35 seconds. And eventually, Fallen goes down on the boost, the lower part, to throw the mid utility, shows himself a pixel, he gets the pick and walks away. And it's aggressive, but this is planned. This is
disciplined as well,
premeditated. This is research. This is something he wants to do against this specific team, and he can keep his calmness and not abandon the play too early. Even he sat there for so long. Obviously there's players added into this to help him if he gets pressured from lower, etc. But it was a good play, and you see him in an aggressive position, but very, very calm.
And then
I like that.
There's only the grand final left to go through, mate. This grand final was a banger. It was a banger. And honestly, I thought we were going to get all 5 maps. You must have thought that as well, right? With how this was going, what we were seeing.
Dude, there's so many moments. Should we just kind of go through it map by map?
Yeah,
or
sure.
Should we talk about it like Cash? It's obviously a map, I think what I liked on this map, especially from FUT, they didn't shy away from going through that middle. They always boosted, they throwed utility, they went out, they were aggressive. Even when Donk is the one, even the pistol, Donk was like shut down, the anti-eco, like, I think they didn't shy away from it. Yes, they got punished in some rounds for doing so, but I feel like that's still something that you have to do if you want to play a game of Counter-Strike. You have to kind of accept that you're gonna probably get more losses than necessary some rounds if you go out mid. but I like that they didn't shy away from it. You saw Xcloud; he was so good in that middle part of the map. He was constantly a thorn in Spirit and even Donk's side at times. He posted 25 frags. He was the best player on the server for this cache, and I'm also liking the way that they are explosive. You know, it's that simple Ask CS. They like to take mid. If they're not allowed to, they group up, they go aggressive, they trade their way in, and yeah, I think it's just a joy to watch.
And you know, I spoke to Coolio in the lobby after the final, and he agreed with like what Spirit was saying, that obviously Spirit played a much later game, didn't have as much time to prepare and get ready for it, and they didn't expect that this veto would be happening this way. You know, they knew the chance was there to remove the dust too and pick cash into it, but I think what Donk said was, we said it on the HLTV MVP interview, he said that it was maybe they didn't expect the map order. So they knew that like Dust 2 could be out, cash would be in, but they didn't expect it to be this order. So they got thrown off on the cash, right? Yeah. Then in this cash, as like you said, it's a CT-sided map. 6-6 is a good first half, but then also Spirit's own T-side was pretty good. So there was a lot of back and forth in it. FUT being able to close it out, super strong. Then we come on to Anubis, right? And I honestly didn't think that we were going to see them have a chance. There were some rounds where Donk, I think there was one where Donk was like, he was waiting for the guy to push out Con. He predicts the push out through the smoke, gets that one kill super sharp as anything. But then the FUT players are ready to surround him on water. And once he was out, that was it. They had full control.
This was the round that Tenir was fucking blind, walking down the stairs.
Yes, yeah.
It's the same round, right?
Yes, yeah.
He just walks there and you see it like, I think it was like Jugs or someone who just like, he was looking up carpet and it's just like, there's a fucking team in the stairs.
what is he doing? What's going on?
Yeah.
And it was the right mixes of aggression. I think with the Anubis one was just great individual fights and moments, and it really felt like it was anyone's game. You know?
Yeah, but yeah, it was. And I'm heartbroken for the. Do you remember this round, the first overtime round from FUT? They push water, they drop down like window, push water. They have this super good aggression. They get like double entry, and all of a sudden
Tenir fights back at B main.
And it's
and they lose it.
They make like an over push.
Yep.
They already won the round.
Yep.
And they double push main.
Yep.
Xflat doesn't clear the corner, and Tenir gets a double for free.
Yep.
That one stung when I was watching. I was like, no, but you won it already.
It's like, you know, overconfidence and also just overcooking. If you've won 2 kills like you did there, you can just keep your map control, can't you? You can then just go back into it, and Spirit has to make the moves. You didn't need to keep making moves from there, but that's something they'll see on review, obviously. But that then did feel like that after that, Tenir had like back-to-back rounds of popping into B. Yeah. And doing well. And like
he was really good on this Anubis.
Really sharp. Then on the Ancient, the tried and tested map for FUT, you know? In my opinion, their best map.
This one's also
Krabeni so many times, the perfect plays from Cave, you know? Great CT positioning. Great decision making. I think, was this the map? Let me check on the stats. Was this the map where Donk was struggling for the beginning part? Yeah, because Magix was hard carrying at the beginning. Magix was hard carrying for the beginning parts of this. And honestly, once FUT got onto the CT side, I thought, what was it? There we go. It was 10-8, and I thought, now they're going to be able to get it. And then it just starts to slip away round by round. They go into OT.
But they broke them, right? Yeah. Didn't they lose against a force buy?
They lost against a force buy, and then it put FUT onto like 5-7 MP9s as they hit A site. And they almost won that, by the way. They almost won that with the crazy lower con.
It was the
Oh,
1v3 from Demon, was it? With MP9 from Donut?
might be a different round. Because I was thinking it was very much a fight towards A main, and they ended up losing it, which actually put
But
Spirit
like
in
it
a better
ended up
position.
in a 1v3.
Maybe.
I think it was in Donut. The first guy came out of A main, he kills him, he backs off into Donut, and then he kind of like went with a drive-by mode as they crossed the site because it was so low on time, like 15 seconds or something.
Mhm.
And I think the last guy was planting. It was a fight between him and the guy behind, kind of default box on A. Is that the round?
Maybe. I'm thinking I'm thinking of a different one though, because I remember it
Maybe
ending
it's a
A
different
main.
round. A lot of action happened.
Yeah, so much. But I think this was where it ended for me, because if FUT had won Ancient, we'd definitely be obviously going to Mirage, because FUT don't stand a chance on Nuke anyway. But also, I felt like this is where they,
I think I know which round you're talking about.
you
now.
understand?
Is
Yeah.
it the Famas in A main when he was on the left side?
Yes, yeah. Famas and this MP9, and then
Yes.
5.7s. That's all that's in the
Yeah.
round. Yep.
Jokes get the triple lineup
Mhm.
there.
And they
Yeah.
kind of run away
Okay.
from him, right? They took some damage. They didn't want to fight him. They run away. They're worried because of how close he is as well. Anyway, had FUT got Ancient, we go to Mirage, and I still think that would be anyone's game. Maybe Spirit still wins it, right? Obviously, we're just playing with what ifs then. But it felt like
Nobody's
FUT don't
100%.
play
Like
Nuke
it
good,
felt
but it
like
felt like they were
Nuke
broken.
was always going
Yeah.
Spirits.
It just felt like they were broken.
And it is different. I mean, how many times do you get to experience playing a best of 5? Like it doesn't happen.
No.
Like
And they're still so
practice
inexperienced.
games. No, but you don't want. No one want to know what happens when you coach a team and you schedule 5 fucking pracs in a row without break. None of you want to see that. People fucking die, they melt, they do the stupidest shit ever. And there's a lot more energy going out from these guys screaming, yes, nice. Every single round they win, or when someone makes a great play,
Even smashing
they
his
are
desk.
completely emptied out of like energy. I mean, even queuing 5 FaZe in a row, I mean, some of you must have known that feeling, how you just drop down in concentration, how you lose focus, how you just play worse. This is way, way harder playing a best of 5 final in that setting.
And also, you're talking about that setting?
Crazy.
This is a setting FUT are not used to. Yeah? This is FUT's rookie year, and I looked back at this. xFloud has never even been in a semi-final. He's always been, through all of his teams, when it comes to big events. So he's maybe been in semi-finals of smaller events, but if we do their big event filter for HLTV, he's only ever made quarters.
It's kind of crazy.
So this is the biggest he's ever gone, right? Getting semis was already an achievement, then going to grand final. So this is uncharted territory for the whole team. And by the way, I spoke to Coolio when they made it to the grand final, and he was like, I didn't expect to be in this position. He's just keeping it real. And by the way, he's another coach, which I'm loving the honesty. When you talk to him, when you get some information from him, he's just keeping it real with you. And he's keeping it real with these players as well. And I'm so happy they got to stay together. Yeah. And you know what my hot take is about FUT? People are going to think this is wild. I think FUT can win one more tournament this year. Even if it's another studio event or something like that. But I think they're definitely in a position to do it because they keep growing. xCloud's a great addition for them. I was so worried with Lounce going out because I thought Lounce was great, right? I think we both really liked him. For whatever reason, they were not happy with that situation in the team, right? It seems to be both parties were satisfied afterwards. But xCloud is cooking.
Yeah.
xCloud is taking this opportunity, and he's wanted this for a long time.
He's looking great.
And in some maps, he's a bit lost, he's not up to. But I would say in the majority of maps, he's looking strong. And guess what? What was our biggest thing that we were talking about around FUT? It was their map pool, and their map pool not looking good enough. Well, they've slowly started to improve it. We've seen 2 Dust 2 wins now for them. 2 in overtime is MOUZ and FURIA, but they still got these wins. They went from 0% to taking down MOUZ and FURIA on Dust 2. They are growing. They are leveling up. And Crabeni, he's still so young as an IGL. People were talking about Shuhei not long ago, right, as an up-and-coming IGL. Right now, it's all Crabeni. Crabeni stocks are the highest. Hugely impressive.
I agree. I have to ask you, though, what's your take on FUT being higher now as the previous Navi Academy roster compared to the main Navi roster? Because this has obviously been a talking point around social media and a kind of a meme thing.
So the problem is, you can meme on it. People can meme on it, right? They're always going to. But this is all about hindsight. So if Navi had kept FUT as Navi Junior, they could have entered They could not have entered majors, right? And they could not have been at big events. Yeah, they could have only been at events that other Navi was not at. So maybe some smaller PGL ones that Navi skipped, but it would have limited their experience and growth as a team. Yeah, and also limited the potential of changing players. They wouldn't have brought someone like Lounce or Xcloud in, right? It would have been young players coming in. So, yes, FUT have done incredible. They're better than Navi right now in terms of ranking. But also the VRS ranking just changes based on 1 or 2 results, right? So that could change by the end of BLAST Porto. So for me, it's a huge achievement, something to be proud of. But you can't look at Navi and think like, oh, you fucked up, you should have kept these players. Because also, as far as we know, remember the last thing we reported on when it came to this was, if they want to, they can offer to buy back some of these players. Now, there was one rumor that I haven't confirmed yet, that Jugs was actually in talks during the summer to go to Navi, but he didn't want to take the offer. And remember, even if you've got the buyback in there, you can't force the players to do it. Now, I can't confirm this, right? And you also want players that are going to learn on it. But I remember saying at Cluj-Napoca this year to the FUT players, because remember I was talking to them, all I knew them from when they were on Navi Junior days, and I said, the worst thing that can happen to you guys is that one player gets picked off to a better team, he gets put into shit roles, and he doesn't play like he's good anymore, and then you lose this synergy and this dynamic you got. And right now, they've earned their place in Tier 1, that none of them should be looking at going anywhere. Not anytime soon.
No.
Keep grinding like
That's
this.
fair to say.
Keep grinding like this. So, yeah.
There seems
it is a
to
meme.
be getting a lot of new fans as well.
Yeah.
People love them.
I also wasn't sure if it's just people love them or people were hating Spirit.
It's probably a bit of both, but I think they're getting new fans.
We did have, I've got a video of it, and I'll send it to be put in the episode. But there was a whole clip of this. Fuck you, Spirit! Fuck you, Spirit! So the clip is just everyone saying, fuck you, Spirit, in the crowd. Obviously, yeah. I was reading some comments on Twitter. People were like, oh, it's disrespectful. You can't say that. Guys, they say fuck you Apex in different countries, right? He takes it on the chin. He eats it up a little bit. It is a mainly French crowd, and Spirit eliminated Vitality. They're not going to be so happy about Spirit. Also, Spirit only get cheered in Astana, China, probably Serbia. They're used to the booing, right? And then they always go nonchalant throughout it all. But also, I feel like Spirit at the moment, I'd say Zontix, Tanir, and Shiro, Shiro when he gets interviewed, they're like very chill with their interviews, right? Magix was trolling, not even just me, he was trolling the interviews for EWC. Donk really didn't care to answer much on the interviews for EWC. Yes, it's their choice and their way of wanting to do things. But I mean, they need to start playing the game a little bit, because what I'm seeing in comments online is there are obviously always Spirit fans, and there's definitely millions of Donk fans as well. But people are getting a bit sick of it, right? So it means that they're going to have more haters because of it. Because people want to hear some more from them, you know? And, by the way, some people were like, oh, the questions that Ian asked at the end, like he deserved these bad answers. He asked some very normal, completely fine questions to ask. Donk could have just answered them, but for whatever reason, he didn't want to. But when you win a trophy, you're not going to ask him, what happened in this round at this moment? We're all told this, right? It's supposed to be focused on the emotion, the enjoyment, what it means to them. And if they say they don't care about winning EWC, they're lying, because all they've said before that is like trophies matter. So they're just doing it at the time to play into this scenario. You know? Yeah. It's all a bit of like edgy game that we're doing. And at the beginning, the Donk fans were all like, yeah, you know what, let him be this way. He's the greatest player, blah, blah, blah. But now people are going like, okay, it's a bit too much, you know?
It's getting old.
Yeah, because, end of the day, for me, cool, you can mess up my interview. That's your choice. But think about this. there are fans in that arena of Spirit. Oh, by the way, I saw so many Jab Jab Itch t-shirts they had. Yeah, they've literally Spirit have made Jab Jab Itch t-shirts. I want a Jab Jab Itch t-shirt. It's cool as hell, man. A funny little frog guy. But look at this. They paid money to be there and see you. Yeah, they're buying your merchandise. All of this is in the ecosystem of what is needed for esports and your organization. If you can't take a bit of WWE, yeah, that's my example of it, and entertain your fans, then you're not being smart. Because we are still an entertainment industry. The Counter-Strike's exciting, but also hearing some personality from the players. Sometimes like doing something like what Apex or Carrigan does and being a bit of a showman, you know? Like being like Nico
Do you
and
feel
the
like
ever professional.
Spirit is suffering a little bit of the MOUZ problem?
Well, no, because Zontix has enough aura to carry it through, and Magix can be funny when he wants to be. But I mean, they're going to end up getting more haters than what they should for a very successful team. And by the way, it has nothing to do with the fact they're Russian, because yeah, if you go to Poland, they're going to be booed out the sky, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
in general, they're great players, and even when they lifted the trophy, right, and they won, except for the dropping the trophy on Hallie's head. They were getting cheered. I was in the arena. People were cheering for them. There was no boos. Yeah. So you've won. People are then giving you the respect. So they want to hear something on the interview. And we got to get someone to teach them or show them. I know it. Like it has to happen because it's getting too crazy now. It's getting way too crazy.
So obviously, just to finish out the thought on FUT, incredibly successful event for them. They've secured themselves in their top 3 now in VRS.
Yep.
You know, it's not an easy feat. I mean, even though, you know, they went through Magic, they beat MOUZ, they beat FURIA, they went on to FaZe Spirit, obviously taking a map and playing 2 very, very close maps against them in the final. Where does this kind of put FUT now? Where are they in terms of this ranking? Are they a legitimate top 3 team, top 5 team?
No, I put them top 6,
or
I think.
is it just like the way the bracket kind of worked out for them? Is that kind of,
I think
where is that? Would have they
I think with the teams that are there, right, even if they're on another side of the bracket, they can beat a Navi, they can beat a G2, they can beat an Aurora, right? I think they're in a position now where we can regularly see them making deep runs in playoffs based on their experience of growing in these arenas as well, right? Because remember, the Sunday arena was huge, the biggest arena they've ever been in. Where the other days was not as big, right? Still 7,000 people, but it's, you know, some days a bit less, some days more. I would say I put them as a regular quarters to semis team with great potential to take a trophy every now and again. But I also think there's a lot of teams that have great potential to make a trophy right now. Like we're looking at 6 to 8 of the top teams.
It's a very, very open season of Counter-Strike we have.
Hugely. And I know some people are saying, oh, Falcons won't lift another trophy this year, you know? That could be possible if we stay this competitive. Obviously, they don't want to see that happen, right? But if you've got MOUZ, Spirit, Falcons, FUT, Vitality, Navi, all with a chance
I mean, even Legacy's in top 5.
Yeah, but all of these teams have a chance to make a trophy. That's crazy. Yep. That's a beautiful situation to be in. Definitely.
There's like 10, 11 teams I can think of winning a trophy.
So let's close up on Spirit, right? Because I know I've spoken a lot about just their interview things, but that's not what the gameplay is, right? So they started EWC by losing a best of 1 to GG How. Then they 2-0 Luminosity, 2-1 Big, 2-0 Bait, 2-1 Vitality, finally beating Vitality for the first time since like 2024. Yeah? And that time they did beat Vitality is when they had Jack standing in. So it'd been a long time. They'd never beaten Vitality with Robs. So it's the first one ever. So even if they said on interviews, it doesn't matter much to them because they didn't get the trophy. It does matter because you beat Vitality on the way to get the trophy. Then you beat Legacy. And then you beat FUT 3-1. They care about trophies. They got another trophy to their name. Their last trophy was PGL Astana, yeah? And before that, it was Bounty, then Cologne. and then it was an Astana again, then it was another bounty. This is a big one because it's also big prize money. 600k they walk away with. 600k.
And to some degree also buys this Magic's IGL project time.
Yeah.
Because if they went through, this season without picking up a major trophy that everyone's competing for and everyone, is giving everything for.
Yep.
I would be scared for this project. I would be scared for if Donk is satisfied with, just keep going and trying with the same kind of, players.
Yeah.
I could definitely see them making changes to get Donk that dream team that he wants, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to if Donk is satisfied with the team or not that he's playing with.
Yeah, and it revolves around him because he's the one saying in so many interviews now as well that like this is the organization he wants to stay with. He doesn't see himself in any other organization. Kind of reminds me of like simple Navi time once he finally joined back up with them, after a stint in Liquid. So I would say for the Magic situation, he's proving himself as an IGL now, right? Because that was not an easy game against FUT. And you also recovered from not somehow mentally getting drained after obviously back-to-back grand finals, because they did bounty before that, and a long time on the road of doing it all. And then they've also got now going straight to Porto, right? And it's all about this how you reconfigure, reset, readjust, And then on top of that, they're going through this coach thing where Sopvik and Hallie taking over the macro, micro, right? Each taking a bit of their own, then getting players to do things to try and make this as good as possible for Spirit and to keep them some longevity.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting times.
It's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So that's it. We're finally at the end of EWC. We've got some news things to go through. Also on the trophy list. I'll say this, right, because I can say this. Most teams, poor Hallie, by the way. Do you know what? It's lucky it was Hallie. If that was Little Donk, Hallie's cool, right? Hallie's like about my height. If it was Donk, that would have been straight on his head. And that's dangerous. It's a big plate, man. But all teams are supposed to come and do like rehearsals, yeah? Of the walkouts and the things like this and the trophy. From my understanding, from what I heard, they didn't do a rehearsal for this. They didn't agree to it. They also didn't agree to do the pre-match interview on the bus either, right? It was quite funny. I was sat on the bus with them. Most of them were watching TI play because the Spirit were in the final of TI. Yeah. Zontic just said he wants his headphones in, he wants to chill, wants to focus on the grand final. I respect that. He's a competitor. I'm never going to push when I'm on a bus or I'm in their private space to do an interview. They either agree or they don't agree, right? But to rehearse these things is very important, so you know the way to walk, when to do it, And also, for example, for Tanir, he's not lifted so many trophies, right? He's still very young in his career. So what they did is they picked up the actual thing that holds the trophy rather than just the trophy. And obviously it's held on with some like magnets, yeah? You can see the little dots on the back of it. So when he lifts it up and it just slides on off, it's just they didn't quite do it correctly. And then luckily no one was injured. But my, oh my. So this is why, guys, you need to, I know it's not fun. I know they just want to play the game, but you got to be careful. You don't want people getting injured for this stuff. And that's not on the tournament organizer. That's like on the players themselves. You should be going to these things. So yeah, that does actually take us to the end of EWC. I am now correctly. I am tired. Sorry very much for everyone watching and listening. Let's go through some of the news, but let's go through the news quickly because we still got a whole BLAST Open Porto preview to do. So Eternal Fire bench Bro, and they signed Soulfly. So first of all, Soulfly, incredible player. We were so happy with what we were seeing from him on Aurora at the end, right? And I was one of the people saying I wanted him to stay. On top of that, they've also made Jota his loan permanent, so they've signed him properly. So he's on Eternal Fire now. This is a good Eternal Fire, by the way. But Bro is the one that gets benched. Now, if you remember back when it was the major, we heard that just before the major, they weren't even sure if Bro was going to come to the event. because he had some family emergency going on. We never actually got the truth on what it was. I'm wondering, considering you said he was performing pretty well on Eternal Fire, if this problem has popped up again, and they've just said, like, no, we can't do this in our current situation.
No, I don't think he's. What I meant was that he's performed well in Eternal Fire necessarily. I think it's more. I saw Bro as one of the staple players in that NRG.
Okay.
He was really, really good. He performed really well, and then this kind of blimp comes up.
Mm-hmm.
He has an emergency, family, and I just felt that Bro never really came back after that. He never really was the same sharpness, the same kind of putting up the same amount of numbers ever since that happened. And I feel like I'm just revisiting kind of the thought process. Is this something that hasn't really kind of gone past him?
Yeah.
It's something that still lingers on, that still bothers him to some ordeal. That's kind of my theory. I have nothing confirmed on this. I just feel like there is a better, there's a better Bro out there.
Oh man, yeah.
I know he's a better player than he's showcased.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
In this Eternal Fire, and I mean, something's up if you change. He just got to this Eternal Fire. He was in the team from July to August.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a long time. That's a significant issue that Eternal Fire feel, okay, we need to fix this now.
Yeah.
I don't see any other possibility of it.
It's not a team that can wait, right? They need so many VRS points. They're playing so many online events, tier 2 events.
They've made huge investments into this lineup. Huge investment. I know, like, Kvem is not a like cheap player. He played really, really well in that Passions UA. Probably has a pretty high salary as well.
High salary, but
all
probably
these
was
players
free to
like
join
Regali,
because that Passion UA thing died, right?
Yep. Yeah. Probably, yeah. But still, I mean, Jota, Soulfly, Kvem, Regali, missed them. It's not like a cheap team to have.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on it, but it'll be interesting what's next for Bro, because I don't know. From here, where do you go? He might need to take
they
some
did
break.
make it to the IEM Beijing close qualifier.
They qualify to Beijing or no?
The close qualifier, yes.
Oh, okay. Then, but not to the main event.
So it was the open qualifier, which like 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
They beat 100 Thieves to get the spot.
Yeah. So next,
They're still up in the running for that.
next is Luminosity news, because BMAS has been moved to the bench. Now, for people that are looking at BMAS, yes, this Luminosity core, right, that they took, it came without Gizmy, and that was a problem from the start. We knew that. Lux is now having to IGL it, and they're trying to grind back up. Their events so far with Lux have been terrible. Something is definitely missing. Obviously, we're looking at it being Gizmy, but BMAS was performing even bad when Gizmy was there, like below what you would expect from him.
Yeah.
Great person to talk to individually, was much better, and he has had struggles. So this isn't like a huge surprise to me. Like, if you're going to make a change, it's probably between him and Azuwu. And Azuwu had a uptick in performance, where BMAS has stayed kind of solidly around not being good enough. So maybe this is just like there's an offer or potential coming up. Interestingly enough, right, another part of what it is Youngster departs Heroic. Maybe they went for Youngster, I'm not sure. Maybe he's the fit they wanted in there.
I mean, it would make sense to me. I think Youngstar he's incredibly good. And I mean, I had the pleasure of being in practice and engaging with him for a couple of weeks. He is a hell of a player.
Yeah.
He is incredibly good. And the thing with him is he's been playing anchor roles and, kind of supportive roles for his entire career. But, he stood in for eyeballers there and actually played star roles for the first time. I remember he came back to practice and said it's so fucking easy to play star roles. It's so nice. And I get that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it's a selfless guy. young star,
Mhm.
incredibly talented
And he can do
and
multiple
valuable.
roles and could
I
even
think
be a second AWP.
could be a really good. Yeah, he can do that as well. It's not his. I don't think that's his best position.
So yeah, maybe youngsters going to Luminosity. Let's see if that's going to be the
It's
case.
a good shout.
Just because they were right next to each other on our news, and then it just came into my head.
Yeah, they usually
You know?
ties together though.
1 and 1 equals 2. Also, Dust2 BR reports MIBR to bring in Thomas in. So BRN will finally be gone for the lineup, who is, by the way, he stayed in that lineup a long time while being very mediocre. He's done a lot of shit roles and shit positions, but if they're going to try and get an upgrade now for MIBR, who were looking better with LNZ leading, right? And Insani, we're currently understanding whether he's going to stay on the team or not.
Tie into that, like, I mean, you saw that stuff with the CEO or whoever made the interview. That, you know,
Insani's not
it's
re-signed
probably a
yet.
push to make this a more interesting team for Insani to stay in and re-sign.
But we all know that probably
That's my
Insani
guess.
can wait for a better offer. And don't lock yourself into a crazy contract again.
Yes.
All right. And now for our final piece, it's our BLAST Open Porto 2026 preview. So within this, mate, we've got 16 teams. Some very good teams, some coming through qualifiers that I would not say are very good in current standards. It's kind of a bit of a mixed bag, actually. So listed teams here.
Yeah.
We got Spirit, Falcons, FURIA, Vitality, MOUZ, FUT, Legacy, NAVI. So literally 1, 2, 3, 4. In VRS, we got
It's
one.
not a super mixed bag. It's some pretty high. Like, I would say it's still on the top end. I mean,
Yeah, it's just the end part's low right from the qualifiers because they're kind of random online qualifiers. G2 Aurora, 9Z good as well. Then we've got Payne, who come in as a replacement. Then we've got Lin Vision. They beat Tyloo to get this position.
Who did they replace? FaZe or?
Who did 9Z replace? Let me look.
Oh, Payne.
Payne replaced Betboom. Payne replaced Betboom. Visa problems again. Should have kept Flamus. We're going to say that forever. Lin Vision obviously beat Tyloo in the qualifier, which is a huge one for them. Dendelay, nice to see them again, see what they can do. Inner Circles here as well, which means Headtrick's back on the block. M80 as well. They're going to be here from the North American side of things. So we're split into 2 groups. We've just got A and B. It's all best of 3s. Plenty of Counter-Strike action coming up. And when we go through to playoffs, we're just going to have 6 teams there. 2 teams start in semi-final, 4 teams in the quarterfinals. So we've covered pretty much all of these teams, right? Over these last bits. I think we can start down at 9Z and work our way through 9Z to M80.
Yep.
9Z, what happened to them at EWC was bad. It was their first event of the new season, right? Because they had a break after XPL after winning it. Now I need to see a stronger 9Z come back. I hope they've stayed in Europe this whole time. I hope they didn't go back to all of their different countries, right? And that they've been grinding at EWC considering we had the practice rooms. And then they come in super strong for Porto and we should be looking at playoffs minimum.
Playoffs minimum?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
I think that's going to be tough, even for a 9C in a group where there's 3 spots. You have Vitality, MOUZ, Legacy, FUT, and Falcons.
Yeah, that's a tough group. God damn, I didn't even look at the group. Okay. They need to aim to try and get the playoffs. Try and get the playoffs. When you read the group out to me, it changes a lot. When you say the group like that, a lot changes, DW. But they'll be thinking like they will think like I'm thinking. Yeah, they will think like I'm thinking.
Yeah, they will definitely think as competitors that way.
Anything you want to say on 9Z?
I mean, I think there's still a scary team to go up against. I don't think it's like you have to fight your way through a 9C to earn your win, even if you're a top team.
Yeah.
I think they're always scary to come up against. I think they The only thing that would be like disastrous for me is if they lose to maybe some of the weaker teams in the group without picking up a win against one of the stronger ones.
Yeah.
I still expect them to be able to pick up at least one best of 3 win, even against someone like MOUZ. I could see them beating them. It's not a far-fetched dream for 9C to beat MOUZ,
I think
even
that's
though
fair.
there's I think that it's an even matchup and it's their opening game. I could see that happening, but I wouldn't be, massively disappointed with them if they lost that. But then they would get another shot, probably, if they don't flunk, something like an inner circle or a Lin Vision.
Yeah.
That would be their opponent. But I think it's hard to demand a playoff spot, but they definitely should be fighting for it.
You know what I was going through.
I know what you meant. And I think in a normal tournament setting, in a normal kind of group stage, because, with Blasts, it's 2 to semis, winning the upper bracket. I want to see some good games. I want to see them back in form. I want to see them, a little bit refurnished in terms of their T side. I want to see Max kind of calling their way a bit more to what I'm used to. I think the first tournament of the year, they looked rusty. Everything wasn't really as planned out. Everyone wasn't in on the idea as much. And I want to see that pitch perfect kind of execution on the rounds. They're tricky, not easily read. And I felt they were a little bit easily read the last tournament I saw them. So I'm expecting them to make some changes, showcase the full potential of this 9C squad. And they're a scary team, no doubt.
Then on to Pain. Kind of an up in the air team, right? Make playoff at Blast Bounty, but you only beat Gentlemates and NIP. You got beaten by 9Z and MongolZ when it came to Esports World Cup, so you didn't make playoffs. Here, you'll probably tell me through the groups they're in, but they are in the group of Aurora, G2, Spirit,
NAVI. Still makeable. It's not. Yeah. This one is way more possible, this group, to make playoff as a Pain compared to a 9C in the other group.
Despite how much stronger 9Z is.
Yeah, I mean, Aurora, G2, they're all like small rebuilds. There's small, concerns with them and their stability. FURIA, obviously, great team. Spirit, one of the hardest. NAVI, question marks, considering the last performance in the playoff against Legacy for them. So I think there's still like a chance for them to break through. I don't consider them like a super strong team. They can have games, but they're not consistently going to be challenging for the playoff spot for me.
And still,
I think they're probably gonna struggle. They're probably gonna go out. The one saving grace is they have FURIA in the opening matchup, not because FURIA is a bad team, but because it's a domestic matchup.
Well, they got some history there in any recent time as well. Yeah, EPL, but that was ages ago. It's like 5 months ago. I'll say this for Pain. I'm still it's always the same thing right now. It's just, sometimes we're getting the best of safe. Sometimes we get a good snow, but we're still not seeing them look super comfortable. So that's what I want to look at, see what development they have. And also, I'll ask them as soon as I see them, did they go back home or not? Because that's always the big thing with these guys, always going back home. Then there's Lin Vision, who have stayed in Europe this whole time, by the way. So Lin Vision have been there for a while. They've had a good amount of time. It's going to be 12 days since they played their last official. No, 11 days. In EWC, they lost to MOUZ, beat Tyloo, which is good for them. Another win over Tyloo, which is now when they won Tyloo in EWC, I said this changes things. They are the best team in China for sure now. But before Tyloo had their number. Then they lose to Vitality. They kind of got dumpstered by Vitality there. And they're starting off with a game against Falcons. So this is more, how much have you been improving since your time in Europe? Not a team we were expecting to make playoffs, in my opinion.
I mean, for them, the kind of the thing that they need to do is they need to stop being the placeholder team
Yeah.
to just have a spot at an event. They need to break out. They need to have some kind of performance. They need to shock us in some sort of way. I mean, what better team to do that than against Falcons? But for me, not very excited with Lin Vision. Yeah, great that they've kind of taken that Chinese #1 spot, but to some degree, it feels like that's the matchups where they play their Counter-Strike. That's the matchups where they really want to win. And whenever we see them against some of the bigger teams, they always fall like very flat, I would say.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I like the guys. I liked, the story of Emilia and these guys when it's at the major, when they shocked everyone. I want to see that again. I want to see that fire, that people are scared to play them because they are strong aimers. They're willing to take fights. They are playing unorthodox Counter-Strike and still making it work somehow. That's what I want to see.
And then Dendelay, the old Sharks roster with their rebrand, right? Obviously, they had that crazy win, just a best-of-3 win online against FURIA, but they didn't even make it through the open qualifier for EWC. So for me, this is a bit of a, well done. You qualified. What else are you going to be able to show us? That you're here at Porto? Try and get some wins in. Try and show us a bit more of the skill, because we know they can be very fiery. We know some of their individuals can step up, but it's always a different individual as well. So for me, I don't have any expectations for these guys. I think just winning any series against any of the teams they have to face will be a positive.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair.
Inner Circle. Inner Circle's interesting because at one point, Inner Circle was looking like completely down and out of it, like nothing's happening. Hedrick's come back and had some good form. It seems like they're healing, They're not getting back to the heights of exactly where they were before all of this, but they've won some of these tier 2 lands. They qualified for Porto by beating Gen 1, Magic, and VP. Magic and current VP is pretty good, so you'll take that as a win, right?
Yep.
And then Esports World Cup, they ended up losing to Hotu in the open qualifier. They beat some teams that they should be beating. The final one is just a tough game against the Hotu that at times we are praising.
Yeah, I'm kind of most excited to see this Davi guy. I've heard some good things about him. I want to see him kind of showcase that against some of the best. Because I mean, you just look at his profile on HLTV, past 3 months, 40 maps, a 125 rating. As like a entry rifler. Sounds very exciting to me. So I want to see that. I want to see that in action. I don't want to see a bad performance, but I want to see what the deal is about.
Yeah. And then lastly, M80. Oh, I don't know, man. Yeah.
I want them to do well, but my brain says no, they're not.
They're going to do well if it's just North American teams. They'll do well against some of the Asian, but even South American teams they'll struggle against. This is a team that's obviously sticking to the guns.
Do they have a chance against the Navi?
Probably not. Just don't think they have enough in their players. Even in Navi's current form, the people think is so low.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that.
You see? Puts it into a weird position. Overall, though, right, this strange thing when we come to this blast is we do the first weeks in Copenhagen, then we have a little break and we all go to Porto. And they play again when we get to the playoffs. Obviously, it's only the 6 teams. So let's go through both groups of who we think is going to make it through, mate. Which of our 3 teams from Group A are going to go through?
I think it's going to be Spirit and FURIA. They are my top 2 picks.
Yep.
And I think it's very, very open for the 3rd place between Aurora, G2, and NAVI.
Okay, who's going to take it?
I'm going to gamble on a Aurora.
Mm-hmm. Because?
But I think I just think, the kind of losses that you have, especially against G2 last time, they have a rematch against them now, which I think puts Aurora in a better position than G2 overall, just because it's so
Okay.
close, this rematch. And I also think there's always these big talks after you have that kind of loss with the players as a coach. It's not like a panic thing, but you really in depth go through every behavior of a teammate, what went wrong, what people could have done better.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be so fresh in their mind that I believe it's one of those circumstances and moments for a team where we will see an upswing in performance instead of a downswing. So I could see them doing very well this event.
I'll give you mine then. So mine will be Spirit, NAVI, and G2.
Spirit, NAVI, and G2.
Yep.
All right.
Even though I know it'd be very
Any
important
reasons for
even though
skipping FURIA?
even though it'd be very important for FURIA to make this event, I thought there was many games where at times MongolZ, even though he can have good numbers, he didn't really come into the same dominance until later. Like it was a bit slow for him to come into a game. Maybe wait till third map or something. And then also what they've done with trying to give Yukinder a bit of the eye gelling and then him saying in an interview that like he was not going to do it. Like they did that test at EWC and now they're not going to do it. I think it might throw a bit of confusion up in the works. I could be completely wrong.
Fair.
That's the way I look at it. For Group B, I will go first. Fair. So Group B is going to be Vitality. Yep. Yeah. And actually, let's just talk about Vitality for a second. Because Vitality is going to have JL now. So Mezzi is off.
Is it? Yeah.
Yep. JL is here. I've seen him already. Zyru, Flamesy, Rops, JL, Apex. JL has been watching all of the games. Yeah. He's been in some practices. He's been watching some practices. He's been getting ready with it. He's now going to be on LAN with the team. And he's going to add a lot of aura. But also, their side is going to be, he faces Inner Circle first, and then a MOUZ or a 9Z. I think they'll be fine to make it through. I expect Falcons to go through. And then I don't think Legacy is going to struggle against FUT in this opening game. So I'm actually going to put Vitality, FUT, and Falcons through.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, this is a crazy one. But I might go with Vitality.
Okay, I thought you were going to say no Vitality.
No. And I might go with a FUT. And then the last one. I could see Falcons losing their second game. Going down in the lower semifinal, facing a hungry Legacy, and losing. So I'm going to say Legacy as the third team as well.
Oh.
Fighting their way through the lower bracket.
Okay. I like that. See if they can keep it going.
And we can't forget, we always predict the winner of the event as well, Banks.
Yeah, okay. So looking at winner of the event, right? I'll have to look at this because many people are going to be thinking, oh, Vitality got 0 chance, even with JL. Sometimes you get a stand-in buff. Yeah? Could be a chance in there with that.
You do.
Falcons, I believe they were going to win in EWC. And I still got to have some faith in it looking at it. I think for me, even with what we saw from Falcons at EWC, there's no pressure of the EWC stuff going on now, right? And they've got a point they want to prove. Yes, they've got risky plays and stuff, but I'll still take Falcons as my winner of the event. And if we have a look at the poly market side of things, there's a 20% chance for Falcons, 28% chance for Spirit, so there's 20% chance for Vitality and Falcons. And this is obviously
Interesting.
changing quite a lot, but I mean, that's even with Vitality having a stand-in. So some people believe in the stand-in buff just like me. FURIA's on 9%, MOUZ 8, NAVI 8, FUT 6.
Okay.
Where are you going?
I'll say this. Firstly, how often
Mm.
is it that Vitality go into an event without the pressure of winning an event? Because that's kind of the situation with JL coming in, right?
Well,
No one, even though we were 20% expecting it, I don't think the pressure is the same with a stand-in comparably to having the entire lineup. But for me,
Mm.
I think still, looking at it, I'd probably say Donk does it twice in a row. A Spirit for me is
that'd be 3
really
grand
good shout.
finals in a row. 2 trophies.
yes.
2 MVPs for Donk because no one else on Spirits are winning it.
I think Spirit is gonna take the whole event.
Oof. Could you imagine a Spirit Falcons final for it as well?
Spirit Falcons final.
Spirit always struggle
it's gonna
against
be
the Nico
banger
and
no matter what.
MongolZ.
I think it's so open in this, even though I'm just saying Spirit right now, I'm super, hyped about that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many teams that could win this event. I think that, we have I'd say probably 7 teams that I could see win this event. That includes Spirit, Vitality, Falcons, FURIA, MOUZ in a good run. I mean, NAVI, if they get their shit together.
Yeah.
FUT clearly showcased that they can hang with the best and play, close finals against Spirit. So why wouldn't they be able to win this?
Yeah. I just think the Spirit thing is, if they're already tired and saying they're tired on interviews and they've now done 3 events back to back like this and they make 3 grand finals, they're going to be struggling.
I think it's just a best of 5 finals tired.
Just the best of 5 finals. Bro, they said they were tired after the Vitality game as well. Donk literally was like,
just a
I'm
best
tired.
of 3 tired.
They're playing against Sai Wu tired. No, do you know what? I'm sticking
Probably.
confidently on my Falcons one because they're going to come back with a point to prove. There's no EWC club championship thing hanging over their heads. They're just here to play CS, do business, and make it work. So 20% for Falcons, I'm taking that. 20% chance that they could win. I'm all in on that. You got 28% chance for Spirit to win. Actually, it's very close, right? If you think of these numbers. I'm just surprised.
It is close.
I'm wondering if the people who think that it's a 20% chance at the moment for Vitality, maybe is everyone aware that JL's standing in?
Maybe not.
Hopefully they're informed. Hopefully they're watching this podcast and they're making an informed decision off that. But either way, that's our preview done for Porto. Nice to be going to another city, by the way, in Portugal. Never been to Porto. I live in Lisbon, so I'll just look forward to going to somewhere else in it. We got a few questions.
You're taking the car?
I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I might take train because 3 hours.
It's not that far.
Train's quite chilling.
To drive?
Yeah, 3 hours is fine. But 3 hours driving with a baby is another thing.
Yeah, but would you take the airport?
No, I won't fly. Definitely, there's no point flying. I'll take train.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Makes sense.
All right, so Q&A. And mate, we got to go through this quick. It's 1 a.m.
Let's do it.
My brain is fried. Pirat
Should
says,
I just read them out?
No, Pirat says, do you think the AWP talent drought is maybe overstated? To me, it looks like there is a drought of risk-taking with trying out AWPers from Tier 2 or Tier 3. Many of them who would absolutely step up if given a chance. Grix, Jaboan, both big. Sizzy, Spirit Academy are easy examples of talent outside the Tier 1 stepping up. Another name I would throw in is Bist in the new VP squad. Yeah, we know about him. And he's dragging his squad into relevance in Tier 2. I don't think it was overstated. I think it's just the risk to take on them. So if you're like bait and you take a risk on Sizzy, it's not that big of a thing. If you're FaZe in the current state and you take a risk on Jaboan, it's not that big of a thing. Same as big with Grix. But it's like for the really elite teams, if you had to replace your AWP, like the G2 situation with Sunpass, then it's all a risk, which is why they try to look at Wrinkle, right? So at least for me, I think they're still, for the elite Tier 1 teams who need a really good AWPer, it is still like a bit of a drought.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. I mean, I think it's duly like kind of part of us having so many teams from lower levels to top levels compared to before, where you would essentially just pick up someone from FaZe It, where you would teach them the ropes and they would be over aggressive. You have to hone them in. Now people kind of learn to play this systematic oping in a way from a very young age. And you don't get the risk takers like MongolZ in the same kind of, as many of them, essentially. I think maybe to some degrees, I think always like you need to be stupid to be good. And then you need to learn structure. And then you need to be stupid again. I think that's, the way to play Counter-Strike. Once you've deleted all the structure and it comes second nature to you, you can be risk-taking. You can take these ballsy peaks and you can do all of this. That's obviously something you want, but it's something that we see way less of in today's Counter-Strike with all the structure. And it's harder to do as well, which adds into it. But maybe we've done a disservice to the young oppers to some degree.
That's a nice way of putting it. Next one.
From Clarence. Who have you been most impressed with so far in EWC, and for some player moves you think have worked out versus not worked as well, perhaps? Well, I think for me, FUT and Legacy are the easy ones.
Yeah.
They've obviously brought in xCloud, had a little bit of a stumble early on, but they've shaped up. They've, almost looked better than they ever did with Longs to some degree in such a short amount of time with xCloud. So that's a huge one. I think Legacy would try is someone as well, fit like a glove. They look great, better than I ever could have imagined, even at a debut event like this. So those are someone that worked out. Those that don't work out, I'm trying to think here. I mean, obviously, Betboom without Flammes is one that we'll always harp about.
Yeah, we keep mentioning.
I
think it's too early for a lot, right? I think it's too early to say whether it's not worked for a lot of these people.
It is too early to say if they didn't work out.
For me, other than the names you mentioned, I just think FaZe impressed. But that's been
FaZe
for a couple
impressed,
of events now, yeah.
100%.
By the way, the cleaners are even out now, moving stuff around. It's crazy.
It's hard to say someone that didn't work out or that we're disappointed.
We can't say it. Yeah, it's too early. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Skorga. He says, has CS ever had such a juxtaposition between the average player's game experience to pro scene? The pro scene, despite recent clone sticker changes, feels incredibly healthy, while the game to the average player feels extremely unhealthy. Yeah.
What's a juxtaposition?
I don't know why he decided to use this word. He wanted to make it really hard. It's like how you would put things together, like the disparity between them.
Ah, okay.
Is that a good way of explaining it?
Contrast.
Yeah.
Place two different elements next to each other to compare them through a certain contrast. Okay.
Yeah, so like pros, obviously the game is great and everything looks really nice. And then for us, if we're playing Premier, playing against cheaters and everything's horrible, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever been this bad, as we touched on in the last episode. That's why I also asked fans as questions during EWC, like what their elo is. Are they meeting many cheaters at this elo? And we were talking to the camera and getting the word spread out there that something needs to be done. And I mean, many people said it, right? Many people I spoke to were happy to call out the cheating problem. Pro scene does seem very healthy, but there's still an esports winter and some salary things. And We've seen some players get fucked over by bad
Sticker
contracts.
uncertainty.
Players also not getting money that they're owed, that they're contracted to have. We've also got some of that, so that's also not good. But then, in the casual scene, for anyone playing normally, cheating situation is just at its worst state ever. So it does seem like the esports scene is thriving, but there are still some negatives where the main game itself is probably in the worst spot ever. As for casual fans, right? As the cheating problem specifically.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
All right, next one.
Psychological. Do you think red flags for certain teams like MOUZ, Falcons, and NAVI will be raised due to the results from EWC? Or do we need a bit more time to be able to fully judge, like after Porto at the minimum?
Depends on the team, right?
I think it depends on the team. I think MOUZ, for me, not red flags. I think Falcons, if they do poorly at the Porto, definitely red flags for that situation.
What's poorly? Like not winning it or not
Not
hitting
making
top four?
playoff is, I think, poorly.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I'll take that.
Same would be for Navi. I think it would be a red flag if they, even though they have a tough group, I still feel like they need to showcase something.
Yeah.
And not only for the Navi fans, but for themselves, that they can be what they claim to be, someone
Born to win.
challenging for trophies.
Just repeating their slogan. Yeah, I think we're still so early in this part of the season, right? And obviously with the major being Clone not being around, EWC's kind of filled that gap. So we've had our first 2 events now. But it's all based around this event and the next couple of events, even the Star Series event as well. Chips on 17, he says, "Hey guys, just an apology for the massive question below. Never need to apologize, it's no problem. I'm very tired though, but I'll try and do my best while reading it out. Comparing the event schedule for this season versus next season shows a very interesting situation. Nearly all of the invites for this season went out by August. We saw that the vast majority had little or no declines from the top 12 to 16 teams, which result in a very few opportunities for the team outside of the top 16 to play these events, especially since the open qualifiers take place either during the break, like BLAST Porto, or during other events like PGL Bucharest qualifiers during Fissure 3. Whereas next season has basically 4 different instances of overlapping tournaments or near overlapping tournaments due to being across the world with a short gap. The situation next season will result in divided fields across events, which gives those teams outside the top 12 more opportunities. Which model do you prefer? This season with less opportunities but more stacked events, or next season with more opportunities but the tournaments are less stacked? I'm going to give you a really shitty answer. I prefer it when we have just the very best teams at the best events. But what I would want is, say we have 2 events per season, so per half of the year, so first 6 months, next 6 months, yeah? That's not including the major, where we have all the best teams guaranteed for 2 of them events. Like they're like the prestige events. And then the other ones, which are events running along the same side or being ones where you can't get to both at the same, like in the gap, the travel gap, right? Then we have more of these overlap events, like we've got PGL and Blast on top of each other for some events next year. Then we get more opportunities and we get to see a different feel and how they react in that. I think that would be cool for me personally.
I disagree. I think I prefer it when we get to see more new teams coming up.
But my option still has that.
Always every single tournament see a Spirit Vitality or a Vitality Falcons.
I didn't say every single tournament. I literally split it up.
I prefer, but I think it's more healthy with more instances where we don't get to see Vitality and Spirit face each other for 3-4 tournaments sometimes.
Okay.
I think that's better than, any alternative, because I think it's just like football sometimes, you know? You see a team do really, really well at certain events and the other team also.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get this event at the end of the year, which kind of culminates and clashes everything together. And you get some different kind of excitement. I think, for example, just to give you like some context, like when it was the leagues, like with the
Partner leagues.
Louvre agreement and the partner leagues and all of that, I felt like it took some of the edge off the game sometimes.
Some of the excitement.
Because they played each other too many times, and it became boring, in all honesty.
Yeah.
And I also like, even though some of these tournaments are going to have these events where we say placeholder teams, at some point we're going to see a FUT or a Magic or a 9C have the opportunity and just sweep us, and just like, wow, what a team.
Yeah.
What a fucking team. I love it. They play a different brand of Counter-Strike, makes things exciting, throws a couple of wrenches into the wheelwork. And I love that about Counter-Strike. Absolutely. I think that's the best. That's where I came from. I was one of those, came through the nowhere and kind of made a mark. And I think it's good to have more opportunities for those kinds of teams, even though sometimes it's going to result in some boring games to start the tournament.
Yeah. Warm-up games, we call them.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. With that, Mr. Devilwalk, we are done with episode 81 of the All About Counter-Strike podcast. I will just apologize to everyone. I'm definitely half asleep at this point. It's a couple of episodes now where I have been half asleep, but I'm trying to just pump these out.
Like last couple of episodes, like, what the fuck is Bang's energy?
They're going to be like, where has he gone? I will promise you, for the next episode, for episode 82, I will make sure I had some sleep, or we don't film until I've had some sleep. But obviously, we're trying to get this out in time for when the event's starting, because tomorrow's rehearsals, then we have the actual games going out. So you need the episode before. So literally, my day started at 6 a.m. I then got stuff ready, traveled all day, came to Copenhagen, had to get some food and stuff with my wife. I had to put the baby to bed. Now we're here at 1 a.m. and I'm in a hotel breakfast room. Probably soon people come for breakfast. No, they're hours away from that. But I mean, I'm putting the grind in to make sure we got this banging episode.
There. Yeah, we're taking the same spot for breakfast.
Hey, this is my spot now. I'm going to leave my mark. I'm going to leave a mouse pad here. There you go, a Banks mouse pad here. I just feel like this is mine. No one else can have it. I don't think they'll let me do that. But thank you very much, Crowne Plaza, for letting me have this awesome space to be able to do it with. This did work, and the lighting was pretty good in the end. So, Devilwalk, I've explained my bullshit. You get us out of here, mate.
All right. Thank you, everyone. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, comment. It all helps us with the algorithm, with, showing your appreciation. We'd love to answer any questions. You can also join our Discord if you want to post questions about the current scene. Anything you want. If you want to know Bank's favorite freaking color, you can ask that too. Over on our Discord, we'll take it up every single episode. Until next time, have a great one. See you later.